inviting you live.
Take your position and then I'm going to see where, yeah, I'm going to be on that.
First and foremost,
Yeah.
I want to give all the praises and the glory to the Most High and His Son.
Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rukakadash.
I'm double honors to the apostles that taught us what we know today, the Holy Spirit, and as well as giving the brothers up their salutations. Just like we are doing right now. Shalom to the Akim, Akim as well. Right, so we're going to get started with 2nd Ezra, the 9th chapter. Verse 1. Right, we'll see something quick on.
This is 2nd Ezra chapter 9, starting at verse 1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that this is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made.
Yeah, and right about now, like what I did was I sent you brothers 2 articles, or 2 links basically. And when you go into those 2 links, what you'll see is like, well, the first thing that I sent you brothers was about the earthquakes. And that was the second one. The first one was about the protesters, right? And when you go all around the world, right, throughout these different articles that we was brought out there, there's all kinds of, there's a plethora of people all around the world protesting about something at the same time. So when you read the book of, actually, this brother can read it. When you read the 2nd Ezra, the 9th chapter, it's basically telling you that you're pretty much at the very end of this thing. If you can read that again,
Yep, 2nd Ezra 9, starting at verse 1 again. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. And therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning.
Yeah, so we're going to go back and read that again, and we're going to go through the precepts, but I just wanted to bring this out, though, once again, I'm going back to my train of thought, that, like, there's plenty of articles of things going on all around the world concerning protesters. All right, and, it just further solidifies that, basically, the Lord has to be on his way. Now, do we know the time to be exact? No. But what we do know is the signs that were given among the prophets, and we're living in that time period because the signs that were spoken of the prophets are taking place right now. And that's how the prophets of the Lord are able to know what time it is. And this is why we're supposed to be out there bringing out the word and proclaiming and giving the warning to the people that this is going to be the deal, because the people don't know what the deal is. People know what they know, not saying that people don't know anything. You've got a lot of people that are waking up and they're finding out certain truths and all of that, but the men of the Lord, the Yahushai, the prophets, we know it all because we've met in the whole world. So it's our duty to take a greater responsibility to, do the reporting. That's what we're doing. So go back and read that and go back up the shop.
With me?
Yeah.
For 1?
Yeah, for 1.
2nd Ezra 9 and verse 1 again. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself. And when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made.
Yeah, so how do you measure the time diligently in itself? Meaning you have to judge the times. How do you also properly judge the times by the prophecies that you see? So in order for you to catch certain prophecies, most likely what are you going to be occupied? You're going to be occupied in catching up with what's going on around the world concerning the news. You know what I mean? That's what you're going to be doing. That's how you're going to be able to judge and measure the times. And as you do that, what you see once again, is you find out that there's a lot of things going on in relation to prophecy that the prophet spoke about, which are the signs of the incoming of the Messiah. So what I want you to do brother. Go to the link.
On one of them.
Are you on one of them?
Anyone would do between that one?
No, go to the Google. It's just gonna show you a plethora of, I think it's right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it right there. That's the protest, isn't it? Yeah, show it to the camera.
Like all of them, yeah?
Yeah, all of it.
The
Yeah,
list.
come on, brother. Yeah, so I mean, when you look at like all the brother did was he went to the link concerning the protesters, and it's like a plethora. There's an abundance of news.
Yep, news
Current
about
news, by the way, not just news from
France
the past,
citizens
current
protests.
news on people worldwide protesting about something.
Both cameras.
So let's read that part again, brother, about the uproars.
2 Ezra 9 verse 3 again. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning.
Yeah, so that's what we're witnessing right now, and as well as what we're in a time of witnessing too is that there's like many earthquakes coming and going consistently. Now, have you always had earthquakes? Yeah, we've always had earthquakes, but not to the level how we're having them right now. So all of this stuff, as what Ezra's prophesied, would happen at the same time. We would have the earthquakes in diverse places, which Yahweh Shah prophesied. And then we're going to see also the people protesting about many different things. So this is the time that we're living. We're basically in the transitional phase of the ending of this system and into the new system, which is going to be our system, which will start at Jacob.
The real New World Order.
The real New World Order, or the real Great Reset after you. All right. So with that, brother, give me Mark. What is it? Give me Mark 13. And yeah, give me Mark 13 and verse. No, give me Matthew Psalm 24 verse 42. Yeah. Read all the way down to verse 47.
Matthew 24, starting at verse 42, says, watch therefore, for ye know not what hour your Lord doth come. But know this, that if the good man of the house had known in what watch the thief would come, he would have watched and would not have suffered his house to be broken up.
Yeah, so that's what we're supposed to be doing. Like it just reads in the book of 2 Ezra, the 9th chapter, to measure the time diligently in itself. So another way you're going to do that too, while you're looking at the news, is that you're going to be watching. You're going to be what? Wide awake. You're not going to be lackadaisical. Sure, you're going to be kind of paranoid in the sense of anything could possibly happen. Because we're in that time where the Most High can show himself. Okay, we just read to you in 2 Ezra, the 9th chapter. I believe it's in a particular verse. I think it's in verse 4, where it says that when you shall see a part of these signs, then know that basically the time is at hand where the highest will begin to visit the world which you be. So at this present moment in time, at any given time, the Most High could actually make the second return, the Messiah. That's why, if you notice, there's a lot of talk on the CBDCs of these two IDs and all that. Because that's the last prophecy that's going to have to come to take place before the Messiah's return. And then the nuclear destruction is going to come in the midst. Go on, bro. You got a crusade.
Yeah, I'm seeing Matthew 24.
Oh, yeah, continue on with that, bro.
Yeah. So it says, verse 44, 24, 44.
Actually, you know what? You stay in that and let him get that. Let him get. Well, you get Matthew 24, verse 42. That's basically. You say second verse 2. I mean, it's official. Like, our parents, our grandparents told us, how did we know we're at the very end? When the ending will even come in my time? No, because for one, you don't really know what's going on, right? I'm talking this speaking in the spirit of those that have said that before. You know, whether it was family members or whether it was people in the world, whoever it was that said that. People that say these kind of things have not really paid attention to anything anyway. And plus, back in their times, ain't nothing really was going on. these things are coming to pass in this generation. So it's definitely approved unto us, the men of Yahweh Bashim Shai, that we're at the very end.
It's like it. And I just bring up something. 2 Peter, the 3rd chapter, speaks about that. It says that the people say all things continue as they were from the days of our fathers, as if the end's not going to come. But he said of this they are being ignorant. For one day with the Lord is 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is as a day. So the Lord is not slack concerning his promise, as some men count slackness, but is long suffering to usward, not willing that any should perish. So these people who talk shit about, oh yeah, well, they've been saying that the Lord's gonna come, but he ain't coming anytime soon. They're ignorant of the prophecies, man. And it demonstrates a lack of faith on their part that the Lord's not going to fulfill his word.
Yeah, because what it is, the people don't the Heavenly Father hasn't opened their eyes to see what we see. So that's why they can talk like that, which is understandable. But we can see it all. So we know, okay, this is not just gonna happen. Eventually. You know what I mean? Yeah, so we'll read that verse.
24, 22. Now learn a parable of the fig tree. When his branch is yet tender and putteth forth leaves, ye know that summer is nigh.
Yeah, just like what was told. What Ezra was saying, you see these signs, and as well as Yahushua gave signs as well. That's what that was a metaphor. So if you see such and such go down, then you just know, okay, I'm at the door. Go on.
33. So likewise ye, when you shall see all these things.
Actually, no, you can read it. Go on.
So likewise ye, when ye shall see all these things, know that it is there even at the door.
So what is there even at the doors? The day of the Lord. What does the day of the Lord consist of? Depends on the what is it? I believe it's Zechariah 14. No, Zephaniah 1 and 14 it is. It's the day of the Lord, as we're going to read in the book of Zephaniah in the 14th verse. Elaborates that that's not going to be a good day. It's not going to be a day of brightness and goodness. It's going to be a day of darkness and weakness, literally and as well as metaphorically. So that's what's nigh to come. And in that time, that's why it's called the day of the Lord. Yahushua is going to make a second return. Go on.
Zephaniah chapter 1 and verse 14 says, the great day of Yahweh is near, it is near, and hasteth greatly, even the voice of the day of Yahweh, the mighty man shall cry there bitterly. For the day is a day of wrath, a day of trouble and distress, a day of wasteness and of desolation, a day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness.
Right, a day of cloud and thick darkness. So it's going to be a dark day, literally and figuratively. Because what are you going to have? You're going to have people losing their minds. You're going to have this war happening. Just all around, just to use Occam's razor. It's going to be all kind of hell breaking loose from the side of the people and as well as from the side of these nations with their nuclear capability. There will be a third most nuclear war as well. Just to add on top of it. So that's what the day of the Lord is going to consist of. You know what I mean? So that's what's nigh that comes to my list.
34 now of Matthew 24. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled.
Yeah. So everything's going to come to pass, from the curses to the blessings on this side of the spectrum. Every single thing. All of the prophecies that were spoken of in the Old and New Testament is going to happen in these times. Now, people will say with their ignorance is the fact that the Bible doesn't have no kind of validity for the times being right now. But the way the scriptures work, and in order for one to make that statement, you would have to know something to make that statement. And a lot of the times, people have not done any research to even make such a statement. So they haven't done no research, and they're just going with what the world would probably say, or what was told to them about the Bible. And they really don't know how to talk about it. So in order for one to say whether this is validable or not, it would have to be the men of Yahweh Bashim Shah that understand the Bible. So if you do understand the Bible, what you'll find out is that the way the prophecies work, for the most part, is prophecies come way later. Like for example, look at the prophet Noah. The prophet Noah prophesied about a flood coming, and guess what? It came 120 years later, but eventually it came. So for the most part, like what we're talking about right now, as we've always been doing and speaking about the times of the end and just getting into specifics, people have been rubbing it off and scoffing and scorning, but guess what? If you notice, half of the things that we've been speaking about is actually happening to the point where you don't even have much scoffers and scorners like you used to. Okay? So that's showing you that to a degree that we gotta be those men. And everything that we've been speaking about in the past is happening. It's actually happening right now. Whether we've spoken about it 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, it's all happening right now. So all of that talking, you guys is you don't even be talking about. You guys are bug outs. Where's that singing? There's nowhere to be found.
This is Matthew 24, verse 14. Another prophecy. It says, "And the gospel of this kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations. Then shall the end come."
Yeah, and what is the gospel? The gospel for the Israelites. The good news for the Israelites. That's the only one gospel there is. That's being taught. Now, you've had many different kinds of Christian, doctrines that have been taught all around the world, and the end hasn't come. But what's being taught all around the world is that we're the Israelites, the so-called blacks, so-called Latinos, Native American Indians, and basically we have a kingdom coming. We have an inheritance. Let me use that word better instead. We have an inheritance, and we're the chosen people of God. And everything that belongs to that kind of knowledge. That's what's being taught all around the world. And while that's being taught around the world, guess what? Literally the end is actually happening right before us.
That's right.
So that's another sign showing that we're at the end. Yahushua gave that as a proof. If you see this gospel that is taught all around the world, then the end is not. Go on, my brother.
If I may say, that prophecy is synonymous with the appearance of the apostles on YouTube and brothers waking up to this truth and obviously coming into this ministry and doing the work, because Christianity had been preached all around the world for many years prior, and nothing was happening in terms of the acceleration of prophecies, upwards of the people, the earthquakes in diverse places, the wars, rumors of wars. All that stuff started really got kicked up a gear when the apostles came on the YouTube and started proliferating this word.
And that's how you know also that we got the authentic truth of the Bible, real understanding of the Bible. Because everybody has a Bible. Every pastor, every kind of Christian clergyman, whatever you want to call it, Roman Catholic, they got Bibles. But guess what? They've been reading them and ain't shit been happening.
Yeah.
Okay, but ever since we done got caught into the Bible, beginning with the elder apostles and the men that came before them that taught this truth, all of a sudden, the wave started to change. You know what I'm saying? Like the wave of nature started to change. You know what I mean? Like that's just what it is. So that's all I gotta say.
There's one in Daniel to the priest.
I do say that.
Yeah, I like it.
I mean, plus the scripture says we're going to be a spectacle to the people, so that just comes with it. Going on
to the precept we just brought out. Daniel chapter 12 and 2 says, "And many of them that are asleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life." No, that's right. Let me jump. 4. "But thou, O Daniel, shut up the word and seal the book even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased."
Yeah, and that's how you also know we're at the last end, because this knowledge is basically exploding all around the world. It's proliferating around the world.
Yeah.
So this knowledge is increasing worldwide. Once upon a time, because I remember when I came into the truth, man, like you had to really dig deep to find out who the Israelites were. But now it's easy to find. It's so easy. So that's showing the times that we're living in. Plus, in the times of the end, let's get I don't want to break this down. Every scripture that you brothers read, I want to intricately break it down.
12 and
get all that we don't Go.
Again, Daniel chapter 12 and 2. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book.
Right?
Even to the time of the end, many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased.
And knowledge shall be increased. So during the time of Daniel, in the midst of his time and afterwards, there was going to be a time period where the book was going to be sealed. But when Yahushua came on the scene, which was the beginning of the latter end, that's when the books were open. Read Revelations 5 and verse 5.
Well,
Yeah.
I remember years ago, to your point when you said about Christian church, generally speaking, the book of Maccabees is well known in, Benjamin, Jamaica.
Yeah.
And I used to hang with some of the Benjamites, or surrounded by Benjamites growing up, some of the so-called Rastas. And they would say, you read certain parts of the book you can't read because it's sealed. So, it's actually true what the scripture is saying. Then, talking about it, like early 80s, around about early 80s, talking about Rastas and all that age of the world. But they dabble, like you say, they could dabble into it, Christianity generally as well. Dabble into it, read it, jump up and down, sing and dance, but don't really have the understanding.
They don't have the understanding.
Because the book was shut up. Even then, it was still shut up.
It was still shut. Yeah, because none of those people, for the most part, are the elect. So it only takes the elect, the prophets, to get the understanding. Go on, bro.
Revelation 5 and 5.
Yep.
Revelation 5 verse 5 says, let me start from verse, to give the context, shall I start from
Go
verse
to
1?
verse 4.
Verse 4, right. And I wept much, because no man was found worthy to open and to read the book, neither to look thereon. And one of the elders saith unto me,
Where's the angels?
weep not, behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, hath prevailed to open the book and to loose the 7 seals thereof.
Yeah. So that's how we have the understanding, because it took the Yahushua to open our minds to get the understanding of what was what in the scriptures. As it is written that the Lord will serve our pure minds by way of remembrance. Because if you had this knowledge before, then you're going to have it again. We're subject unto the prophets, it's subject to the prophets. So that old knowledge, which is the only and but and true knowledge, is being restored back to us. And now we're revealing the dark hidden secrets, which the Bible is nothing more than the biggest mystery book anyway. So it takes the mystery men to reveal the mysteries. And we are those mystery men coming back, revealing the book. And now we're telling you, because the books have now been opened, that this and that and the third is happening. And other things are going to happen, right? To lead into the very end of the system. So now let's go back and read the book of Mark. Which Matthew 24.
Yeah, that's right.
Matthew 24, and read what you got, bro.
Kind of goes into what we're talking about. 24 now, we want 34 now.
Yeah.
Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled.
Right, and so all of these things will fulfilled. So that like I said, we can speak about the curse that dropped on Israel. We could talk about to America being destroyed, and to many other things that the Messiah making the second return. So all of these things are going to happen in these times. It's very sure that this is going to be the case. This is the last kingdom. This is that last generation, and this is the last days of the latter end.
So the dry bones.
Right.
The dry bones.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. The dry bones in the valley, which the valley is basically America, which is basically a valley is a place where that is low land. Right. America's very low. Moralistic, and even down here in the UK, because the UK is a part of that too. More primarily America, because that's where the true genuine religion. So all of that will be taking place. All of the prophecies will take place in this generation.
Yeah, that's in the Shall I get that later? Or shall I
Carry on.
Carry on. Get that later.
Yeah.
So back to Matthew 24 and 35 says, heaven and earth shall pass away, but my word shall not pass away.
Yeah, so drop down to verse 42. And read all the way down to verse 47. We're going to get back to 2nd Ezra.
32 says, Watch therefore, for ye know not what the hour of the Lord doth come. But know this, that if the goodman of the house had known in what watch the thief would have come, he would have watched and would not have suffered his house to be broken up.
Go on.
Wherefore be ye also ready, for in such an hour as you think not, Son of Man cometh.
Yeah, because remember, as it is, as we just, I tell you what, I'm not going to repeat it. We're going to let the Bible repeat it. Let's go back to 2 Ezra 9
1
and verse 3.
verse 3.
You know, verse 2.
2 Ezra 9 from verse 2 again. Then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world,
This is what's happening right now in living time. Go on.
then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning.
So who's going to understand this? The prophets, because the prophets will reveal the mystery book to them. And now they can actually see this book come alive. The words are coming out of the pages and walking here on this earth and manifesting itself for all of us. So now the prophets understand what time it is. All right, that the Messiah is going to soon make his return in a very dramatic fashion. And when the Messiah gets a second return with the holy angels, the government is going to declare that there's a plethora of UFOs in the sky, or UAPs. Because that's how it's coming. As it is written that when the Lord comes back, he's going to come as a flock of birds to defend Jerusalem.
Verse 5, the Lord defend Jerusalem.
Yeah, so he's coming back in a very dramatic fashion, man. To where people are going to just be wowed out there, emotionally, spiritually. Yeah, so with that, brother, you hit me with verse 4.
Then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning.
Verse 4.
That's what I read.
Okay, yeah, read that again, slide.
Right.
No, verse 5.
Slide it.
Yeah.
For all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest.
Yeah, so with that, now what I want you to also get me the book of, what is it, 2 Peter 1 verse 6. You get me 2 Peter 1 verse 6. I mean, we could go out here and freestyle and bring out precepts, but I wanna really make this an interesting lesson so that brothers and sisters can learn, you know? Because that's what it's all about. It's all about edifying. Also, exalting the brothers that are in the faith too. Building on those that are new and building on those that have remained in this thing. So you know, this is just my spirit. It's just like saying, turn everything into a lesson.
2 Peter chapter 1, start from 5.
Yeah.
And besides this, giving all diligence, add to your faith virtue, and to your virtue knowledge, and to knowledge temperance, and to temperance patience.
Yeah, so you gotta be constantly temperate. In other words, you gotta always be on the ready, like you just read. Be ready. I'm roughly paraphrasing how the precept goes, but we just read a particular scripture where it says to be ready. So when we come out and we're watching everything as well, what are we doing? We're readying ourselves for the Messiah to make the second return, which is the right kind of spirit that every brother's supposed to be in anything. As when you read the book of Acts 1 and 6, the disciples, I believe it was the disciples that inquired of the Lord when the kingdom will be restored. Okay? Going up.
Just a quick point, you're talking about being ready. That's one of the main principles that is imparted in the Passover. The idea of, you know, eating the lamb in haste with your coat on and your shoes on your feet. You know, you're supposed to be ready for the Lord to deliver you at any moment. That's all I want to say.
No, that's a beautiful point. Yes, sir, go on, brother.
Oh, yeah. And to knowledge, and to temperance, patience, and to patience, godliness, and to godliness, brotherly kindness. And
yeah, so look up the word temperance. Like you always gotta, like, when it goes into a meeting, that you always gotta be willing to be ready to distribute this knowledge, right? I'm just adding that in the mix, but it don't mean that. But it means to be willing. So you gotta possess your willpower to be what? Temperate in what it means to be. Or let me say it in a different way. You have to be temperate in what this knowledge tells us to be. So whether that's meditating on the prophecies, whether that's teaching, anything that's a part of the book, I don't have to elaborate too much. You know what I'm saying, right? So that's what we got to get going with. We're going to look up the definition of this, the Strong's Concordance. Yeah, the word temperance. Just remember, just like how it reads that we're supposed to what? Watch for the thief to come, right? And if the good man didn't watch the thief to come, then the house would be broken up. Which the thief is symbolic.
Yeah, so the word temperance says that online self-control, the virtue of one who masters his desires and passions, especially his sensual types. Strong is the definition, from self-control, especially continuance, temperance.
Yeah, continuous temperance. So you ought to control yourself. And don't get caught up in the mix of this world. Don't get too distracted. Always focus, always possess your willpower to be temperate in the world going.
Yeah, to add to your point, Elder, because
in the truth, love.
whenever you apply this, use sacrifice, for example. Brother said a word and he stopped. He said, being in the zone. I was watching this year, for some reason I was watching a lot of the Passat brothers, around the world. I was just watching them and just laid back watching them and just enjoying it. We had ours, So in that, we was in the zone. I was in the zone. So that's the spirit that I was in. Like they say, when you go, before you get to the part of, you want to get in the right mind, be in the zone. And I might apply that to training. Probably we go to the gym, we might apply the same principle. Just being in the right frame of mind. Like when you know you're going to go to the gym, right, it's going to be only for sweating. You're going to bring your bag and you're going to do you're going to change the outfit, shower after. You know what to expect, so you're going to be in the zone, prepared for what you're going to be into. Same thing with the Passat, same thing with being temperance. We're applying ourselves now to coming to the championship rounds, preparing our mind now for what is about to come with the prophecy being all through. We want to be in the zone same way, being temperate.
And when you're in the zone, being temperate in this knowledge, that's what you do is of the knowledge. You become your life. Your life is pretty much the reflection of the knowledge that you have. Put it into action.
Self-control, because really self-control is not everybody. Let me use sport again, right? Because not everybody is very, very disciplined in sports. To really be a good sports person, you've got to be really self-disciplined, so-called give up a lot of sacrifices. So the ones that be very successful, we just had the one Elder Tar mentioning, John Jones with the fight with the French guy. He was disciplined, but you know what? He was so, what's the word? Gifted before he got to the stage. He was so gifted with talent. He said there was times when he would be partying before his matches and he would still do well. Now we don't want to have that kind of cocky attitude. That's in that era where he was very talented. But at the same time, when he got down to, he's gone up to heavyweight from a super middleweight. He's gone up to now heavyweight. You reckon? He said now he's taking it seriously, going up into that weight, and he had to do everything, apply himself, his mind, to beat the guy. And it was a lot of people were quite shocked. But he applied himself with that temperate spirit, self-control, and after you can relax a bit and do the things that you didn't want to do. After the same way with other rackets that we make it up with the chariots. To get there, there's a lot of things we may have to sacrifice, but to get there, we might get to other rackets that we make it. I was trying to say, you have to drink wine with it, right?
But this is the thing, we have to do the work. So again, we have to be temperate, like you mentioned about being, what is it, disciplined. You gotta discipline yourself. And I mean, brothers is kind of already doing that, really. Like, brothers already know they can't get lost in the sauce out there, out here, going out to the bars and stuff like that. But most of us live very simple lives. But we're just speaking about this to just convey the point that we gotta be on the ready in this case, as we just read to you, because at any given moment in time, being that we're in the season of all of these signs and these wonders happening, we're speaking about the highest we can live in this world, which He made. So this is the most important time.
This is 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, starting at verse 1. But of the times and the seasons, brethren, you have no need that I write unto you. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night.
Beautiful. And that goes right into connect with what you just read, brother. About how the thief is going to come. Because the thief doesn't let you know when it's coming. It just comes. The thief just suddenly comes upon you and pretty much proceeds to break into the house, take everything that it wants, for the most part, take as much as the thief can take. So Yahweh Shai is that thief which will come suddenly. Because think of it, right? If we all knew when the Lord was going to come back, and everybody would repent and get back right. The way the Lord set it up, He set it up to the point where you don't even know when He's coming.
Stealth attack.
Yeah, so when the Lord comes, unexpectedly, man, a lot of people are going to be caught unawares with their ash on.
Yeah.
And the elect, they're going to be caught with their pants on without their ash on. I just have their identity.
Makes sense.
You're going on.
This is Zechariah chapter 5, starting at verse 4. I will bring it forth, saith Yahweh of hosts, and it shall enter into the house of the thief, and into the house of him that sweareth falsely by my name, and it shall remain in the midst of his house. I shall consume it with the timber thereof and the stones thereof.
Yeah, absolutely. So Yahweh Shai is going to what? Adventure into this realm and enter into the house of the thief. Ultimate thief on the face of the planet is the so-called white man. He stole everything, and now he owns and controls everything, beginning with them so-called JOOSs, right? They've done all of that, so now they're going to be visited of the Lord, and then when they are visited of the Lord, then that means it's the end of their time and their rule and their season, all right? Because Yahweh Shai is going to now establish the kingdom of the rest of the saints. And those that don't want to get down with the program, man, they're going to just be put out. They're going to be done in, man. That's just how. The best time to really repent is the time. The time is right now. Like this is it. Anyway, let's go back to what you had before. Matthew's what is it, 24? And just like how we brought out earlier before, the men of the Lord, us that was given His knowledge and His understanding, we have to be persistent. We have to be temperate. We have to be continued in this thing. Don't let it go. Hold on fast until the Lord comes. All right. And once you hold this thing fast, and the Lord will hold you from the evils to come. And that's not to negate that some of us may not. That's not to negate the fact that some of us will have to die. But you understand what I'm talking about. Go on, read that.
Matthew 24 and 44. Wherefore be ye also ready, for in such an hour as ye think not the Son of Man coming.
Yeah, because it seems like, okay, well, you see the cars moving up and down the street. You got to go to work the next coming week, right? So it seems as though life is the same as it is, but things can suddenly change at any given moment in time. And plus, they've already got the biometrical infrastructure already set up. So all these levels got to do is come up with a major psychological operation to forward their agenda. That's all they got to do. And then things are going to just get moving from there. Everything's basically where it needs to be. So all they got to do is drop the coin, and then, from dropping the coin, happy will, there's going to lie that impact, right? Because they want to bring a great reset according to Klaus Schwab. How he wants, a lot of us to eat bugs and all of this extra nonsense, debauchery, right? And they want to basically take everything for themselves and reset everything to their liking, genetically modify everything, including yourself, and all of this extra shit, which excites them. But while they're on the journey of trying to get this one system going, the Lord is going to come in between them. And this is why we're excited for them to do what they do, because we know it's going to have to take them to do what they got to do so that we can get moving, because we got places to go, man.
Yeah, things to do.
Things to do and people to see.
Right.
Yeah. So that's that.
Well, the precept is the back of what we're doing in Matthew. This is Habakkuk chapters 2 and 1 says, I will stand upon my watch
Like we're doing right now. We're standing up on our watch, Lord.
and set me upon the tower, and I will watch to see what he will say unto me,
Yeah.
and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision, make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it.
Yeah. And we've read the scriptures like Ezekiel, like it was told to Ezekiel, right? To eat the whole roll and then go teach the whole house of Israel. And speaking of eating the whole roll, a lot of guys is teaching right now. They really don't deserve to be teaching because they haven't eaten the whole roll. A lot of guys probably have eaten the whole roll, but they teaching false doctrines by purpose because they've been compromised. So these are the kind of individuals that have no business standing on the street telling nobody anything. As a matter of fact, they need to fall the F back and let the real men of the Lord get down to business.
Right.
All right? Go on, Lord.
Habakkuk chapter 2 and 2. And the Lord answered me and said, right, stop and talk. And I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and I will watch to see what I will say unto me.
Yeah, because in the ancient world, as always, right, we've always had men that would watch out for the city, the people, and outside comers. If there was a war that was gonna be brewing up or whatever, right? Those kind of situations.
Watchtower, that massive watchtower.
Yes.
You get the man on top of the watchtower.
Yeah.
That's why they give home they used to give you magazine, watchtowers and awake magazine.
Yeah.
They was claiming to be the watchmen.
Right. Well, the real watchmen ain't gonna be watching inside of a church though. They're gonna be watching outside. They're gonna come out on the highways and the byways, and that's how they're gonna warn the people. That's how they're gonna watch everybody. Right? You know what I mean? And the way that we watching things, we're doing it the correct way because we gotta go and read this again, my brother. What did 2nd Ezra, the 9th chapter say? Let's read this again.
Going from 1 again.
Yeah.
He answered 9 and 1, 2nd Ezra 9 and 1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself.
Yeah, so that's how we're doing it. We're measuring the times. We're judging the times. Pinpointing the prophecies that's in the book. And bringing life to them by reading these different articles. So we're the real history watchers.
We're not looking around and some kind of hard to other people. As brothers know, I was in that 20 years. And when they put the elder said that, to me, that was a guy that I got away from a heavy demon. That was a heavy demon. Because he used to speak to them. But the point I'm making is that what they're doing now, you don't see them on what you call it, broadcasting anything about the updates in the news and direct, being specific about the wicked, who the wicked are, the enemy, and what they've done to us. History is very important. Don't know history. Anyway, let me get to the point I'm making. That when I was on my way out of there, and I used to talk to some of them, I used to see them sometimes. I used to say, I'm learning my history now. And man, I don't know about my history. These are like really, what you might call educated people in the way of the world. But they don't know their history, and they don't even care to know their history. But they want to go and teach. They want to learn Turkish, being able to speak Turkish, a specific individual people too. When he wants to learn Turkish to help the Turkish people, but your people are still in slavery, man.
Right.
That's the point I'm making. So they're not the watchmen. They're not true watchmen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they just put that out there because they only go about what the scripture said on that, but that's not right. You're the official watchman, as I've already pointed out already. So now let's get back to this point.
Yeah. So 2 now of Habakkuk chapter 2. Mm-hmm. And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it.
And this is why we can go into the scriptures and read the scriptures, because certain men have been writing these things down. Right? Well, I would say for the most part, the scribes have wrote most of what the prophets have been saying. Some prophets wrote their part down too. So now we read the book. The books have now been opened and revealed to us, and we're reading it. And now we fully willfully understand what time it is. And if you can, brother, look up that word runner. I want to get a better understanding of that word in the Hebrew.
Precept upon,
Bring it on out.
Okay, come. This is Hebrews 5 and verse 12. For when the time that ye ought to be teachers, you have need that one teach you again, which be the first principles of the oracles of the Most High God, and are become such as have need of milk and not of strong meat.
Yeah, and let's begin with our elders. Our elders is what taught us. Our elders are the teachers that we saw before us. And they showed us the way. They showed us the breakdowns. They showed us what was going on in history concerning when the Israelites were in Babylon and Egypt and the Medial Persians, and as well as the interpretation of the statute. All of these things we knew because of the apostles, right? Apostle Hall, Apostle Gabal, Apostle Rambam, Apostle Bakar. All of these apostles taught us, because we're all apostles, but they're the head apostles that taught us everything that we know today. So we were taught again, and to act as though you didn't get taught this, and acting as though as well as you came up with this by yourself, you got to be one hell of an asshole. The scripture says to give double honors to your elders. So it's an honorable thing to do such a thing, all right? It's dishonorable, it's unmanageable to disregard your elders. It's important. The Lord is a power of order to peace. So this truth and this understanding overall, because I mentioned manageable, this knowledge gives you a classy, diplomatic,
rulership mentality.
Rulership mentality kind of mindset. But when you're operating in the sense of, after that guy, like Amal Lazar said, he's basically showing himself to be a base class individual.
Yeah.
That's dishonorable on his behalf, because he knows who taught him. He knows, like Al-Azhar, how did he know to get to know what he knows today if it wasn't for the men that told him? So he's full of shit. And just going back to the point that I made, it's unclassy, man. You think you're trying to make yourself look good, by giving yourself these long titles and disregarding your elders, but guess what? You actually look unclassy. You look like you're coming from like it's just low, man.
Lack of character.
It's a lack of character.
If I can say,
Go on, bro.
I like when the Americans say when somebody's really acting stupid, like trash talking, and the man comes up in your face and he just started, and certain man keep cool. And the Americans, I like sometimes when they say, the man he shows some class, he got some class about him. Even though the character's trying to wind him up and trying to get him out of character, he just stands and he stays cool, stays in the zone, keeps calm. Even sometimes he might get hit below the belt, another example. Getting hit below the belt. Some people, they just go react and they start doing it like back. You might take your 5 minutes, breathe, show some character, show some class, the word, and the people, they look at you and they respect you because you're showing self-control and class. But they don't like a person when he gets out of character and he tries to get do things out of the rules, things that he shouldn't do, that brings himself down. He brings down his own character. Even though you was wrong. You know the example of David and Saul. That's a perfect example.
Exactly, and I like the way you put that, because like I was saying, and I'll say it again, it makes it look like he's doing himself a favor, digging himself up and disregarding the way he told. But then again, he's making himself to be of base nature. Like that's a base mentality. Just like you mentioned, when you get out of character, you start acting a bit funny, you start, going way off the handle. People don't like that shit. People look at you according to what you're projecting. So the thing with Al-Azhar is a dishonorable piece of shit. And I've always known that about Al-Azhar anyway, because I used to bump into people like Al-Azhar. Hey, me and him's the same generation. So I know his kind, man. I know he ain't shit with me, man. I know certain brothers and elders may like him, but I know Al-Azhar's type. I know his type. You know what I mean? And I've seen certain things of that guy as well. That guy ain't right, man. That guy ain't really right. He's not an honorable kind of guy. Yeah, he may know the breakdowns. He may know how to break certain things down in the scriptures. He may be a well thought out teacher. But guess what? The guy's a piece of shit.
doesn't.
manageably wise.
No, I was just going to say that I used to watching until I started to see certain things, but he does do research,
Yeah, he
in-depth
is.
research.
Yeah.
He's got a hard, as he even said, he's got a hard head about himself.
Yeah.
He's a Levite, you know.
I don't really care.
So yeah. But you know, if you haven't got character, which means that you may not be for the long haul. A lot of people that haven't got character or they look for shortcuts, they usually get cut short.
Yeah.
So character is very, very important in this. And we've all been tested. All of us brothers have been tested by suffering wrongfully, and we showed character by biting our lip. Just like if you might come up and your mother says, one example, I used to get blamed in our family a lot for the things that were young, unjustly, but you still have to bite your lip because it's your mother. You've got to take certain things on the chin. You can defend, you can talk, you can find an appropriate time, but you can't, what's the word, man? You have to still honour your parents, man. As the scripture says, that's the law, honour your mother and your father.
Well, the father comes first, but honor your father, die by the days when you do for a month. So you just gotta be honorable, like, acting like how he's acting with many other men, coming out of the woods, and we don't even know who these guys are. I'm talking about Wi-Fi, these things. You know what I mean? He's saying, oh yeah, we're the last apostles appointed to death. Everyone that came way before these Negroes, we supposed to just fall back, put everything aside, stop what we're doing, and it's when this time stops, everything freezes and acknowledges them. And get the hell out of here with the guys, man. Again, they're dishonorable too in their acting. Alright? The only men that's showing honorability is the men of Great Millstone, and even the men that's not even in GMS that follow our footsteps. Alright? Which is the true way. Going like that. So it's not our footsteps, it's the true way. We just follow the true way. Let's go back to this one.
Yeah, I'm looking at that word. That was in Habakkuk chapters 2 and 2. The word run says, this is on the online. Oh, you want the definition?
No, the whole thing.
Right, yeah. It says to run, to quote, to run, runners, participate as sub, run swiftly, to bring or move quickly, hurry.
You know, that reminds me of this scripture. You know when Yahweh Shai told his disciples, right? Because they were fishing. So the Lord basically told them, look, if you love me, feed my sheep. So what they did was I'm just roughly paraphrasing the story a little bit, but they put everything down. They put the fishing business down, and to swiftly do what Yahweh Shai told them in terms of doing what he was doing. So that's what he did. When he heard the word, he simply put everything aside with conviction, not with conviction, but with urgency to do this work. Like some brothers, man, I'll tell you the truth, some brothers, like when Apostle Hall mentioned certain things back in the not old days, but like years ago, certain brothers took it the wrong way and thought it was, Apostle was talking about them. I'm one of them, right? Because I remember Apostle Hall, he said, this is when he was like in the house. He was like in this particular studio. And he said, man, and he said it like he was angry, right? So he said this should be like mad camps all around, right? Like it should be like abundance of men doing this work. So I took that personally. So what I decided to say, you know what, I gotta go out and teach me. I gotta go out and teach. And even I believe the elder Bawadi, he said the same thing too. So when we heard this from the spirit, so when we both heard the word, we basically just let everything go that was in our mind to focus on doing this, man, because we don't want to be destroyed, So that's what that reminds me of going.
That's moving quickly, yeah? Like, taking decisive action.
Yes.
Convicting the spirit. And that's the point of being a lot of people don't get problematic in that. Some people they don't really understand the point of being cool. That's the point that you're bringing out. You're going to drive away from cool to run away.
Yeah, so we get the gist on that. We got that. You know what I mean? So now we're gonna go and get on what's the word? Let's go back and read chapter 4. Matthew 24. What is it? 24. Yeah. Oh, that's all right. That's all right.
Using Habakkuk. So I'll read down to 3 now, yeah? Chapter 2, 3.
No. Get done with that. Go back to Matthew 24, verse 40, where you left off. And then we're going to read the second verse.
Matthew 24 and 54 again. Wherefore ye be also ready, for in such an hour as ye think not the Son of Man cometh.
Right, and there you go. Such an hour you think not. So like I was saying earlier before, you may look at the world like, okay, everything's normal. There's cars riding around, and you know, like you're looking for work the next following week, and this and that, and the third, the day-to-day living. But the Lord could come in the midst of anything. The Lord could come in the midst of what in the day that you least expect him to come. As we know that the Lord shall come as a thief in the night. So what are we supposed to be? Ready in mindset. That's why we have to be what? Ready to occupy until he does come as well. Ready to distribute. So that when Yahweh shall make his second return, and we have the right mindset, doing the right thing, then we're going to be found blessed in his sight. As it is written, blessed are they that I shall find well and do. Go on.
Again, I want to stress the point of being ready, because that's being in the zone. And through the Spirit, when this system collapsed, and we really, most of us took the rug from under us spiritually, that we ain't got no. The elect are going to be in the zone. I'll say like that. The elect are going to be in the zone, because we ain't going to be caught up in anything. There ain't going to be nothing to be caught up in anyway. Unless you're just one of them wicked people that get caught up in wickedness, because this kingdom is getting more and more and more wicked and dirty, as we were talking about before camp. So I'll read that one again. 44. Wherefore ye also be ready, for in such an hour as ye think not the Son of Man cometh.
Yeah, so go on.
Yeah. Who then is faithful and wise servant whom the Lord hath made rule over his household, to give them meat in due season?
Right, and what is that meat in due season? The kingdom. We're going to be ruling in his kingdom, because we've already did the work, we've proven ourselves. Because when you come out here, right, and you show yourself in the way that we're showing ourselves at the people, right? What we're actually displaying without even us even thinking about is the fact that we're the leaders of the people. We're the leaders of the nations. Because remember, we've become prophets not only to us, ourselves, our people, but as well as we become prophets unto the nations. So what we're doing is we're exercising leadership skills before the kingdom. All right? That's why Yahweh Shah made that statement. Read that again, that exact statement.
45 says, who then is a faithful and wise servant whom the Lord hath made rule over his household, to give them meat in due season?
Yeah. So we've already taken charge and leading. We're his servants taking charge and doing our part and leading the people in the right direction. So that's going to play into the kingdom. So when we get into the kingdom, we need the nations, it's not going to seem like anything, because we've done it over here in the way that we've done it. Okay, so this is nothing more than preparation and conditioning for the transition that we're going to get into, which is the kingdom. That's all this is. Like all of the ups and downs we go through, all of the hell, all of that is to build us up for the kingdom. The Lord knows what he's doing. All right? But getting back to the point, though, we're in the time of the end. We're in the end of this world. So now I want to go to read some more on that.
24, 26. Blessed is that servant whom the Lord, when he cometh, shall find him so doing.
There we have it, like I said. So now let's go back and read 2 Ezra, what is it, the 9th chapter again.
We're about verse 6 now.
Yeah.
Back in 2 Ezra 9, verse 6. Even so, the times of the highest have plain beginnings and wonders, and powerful works and endings and effects and signs, and everyone that shall be saved and shall be able to escape by his works and by faith whereby ye have believed.
Yeah, and as we went into measure the time diligently in itself, right? You should see all the signs, and the signs will basically spell in the book. And that you're going to have more earthquakes and uproars of the people at the same time. This is all in the Bible. It's happening right now. So what is this very telling you? This is very telling of us being at the end of this empire, which is the revival version of the Roman system. And just like how you had it, every empire had its beginning and it had its end. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and also get... Yeah, read verse 5 and verse 6, brother, once again. 2 5 and 6.
But once again, 2 Esdras 5 and 6, chapter 2 Esdras 9, verse 5 and 6 again. For like all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest.
Yeah, so now drop that, give me on Daniel 7 and 1. Because all of the different empires had a time period. They all had a time period. They were not, now one of them was an empire that was long enduring. Now, I mean, obviously they endured for a long period of time. But the point that I'm making is let me reiterate what I'm saying. Right? None of these kingdoms, just to simplify it, none of these kingdoms were the everlasting kingdom that was with them at all. Our kingdom is going to be the everlasting kingdom. All right? So now let's read this, man. Daniel 7. Actually, you know what? Get Daniel 7 and 12 and then go up and read it.
To do, even though it's sacrificial.
Daniel chapter 7, starting at verse 12.
Like say, am I understanding right?
Right, Daniel 7 and 12 says, as concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and a time.
Right. Exactly. They all had their they all endured for a season and had their times. Now let's go up and let's elaborate on these different things.
Daniel 7 and verse 1. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed, and he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the 4 winds of heaven strove upon the great sea, and 4 great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. And the first was like a lion, and had eagle's wings, and I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked. And it was
So the head, the first kingdom, which was referring to what? Read that part again.
the first was like a lion and had eagle's wings.
Exactly. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. So that was what the Assyrian Empire. Now, if you look into the what is it? The image of not the image, but they had like it's an animal symbol. What it showed the lion with wings on it. You go into the history and finding that evident out, right? So then afterwards, what happened was what the wings were plucked out of. What does that represent? That represents what? The Babylonian Empire. Because the Babylonians and the Assyrians, they were basically the same people. But you had a group of Assyrians that were calling themselves the Babylonians. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to get the time period. We can get this down the right way. So the Assyrian Empire, which was the head of gold, which is it reigned from? Oh, you got it? Okay. Yeah, so we have the head of gold, which was in rulership in around, what is it, the 7th to the 6th century BC. As you know, certain scholars have it over here. 626 BC to 539 BC. So we're probably talking what? 1665. That's 103 years, if I'm correct. 103 years. 113 years. So they ruled for that long.
Truly isn't that long a time when you think about it.
Not really. That's like 4 generations. That ain't nothing. So yeah, that's how much they ruled for.
It was prophesying for
120 years. Yeah, 120 years it was prophesying. So, and around about that time, you also had the Israelites, how they were conquered by the Assyrians too. And so much so that the Israelites had fear of them. They feared them. I mean, we can go into that history as well, but we just want to just speak on brief parts of the history, just so we can move a little bit more, quicker, because there's a lot of precepts that I want to get into, You know what I mean? We don't have all the time in the world. I wish we did, but we don't. To get through this thing. Yeah, so now read on.
Yeah, so we got to verse, right, read again. Verse 4, the first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked.
Like I said, this is now the Babylonian, which is what Daniel was in. Daniel was in this particular world, showing what is Belshazzar, king at the time of the vision, and many other things that they occurred. Go on.
And it was lifted up from the earth and made to stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it.
Yeah, which was Nebuchadnezzar or Belshazzar. As he was given that kingdom. And I mean, the Babylonian Empire was a great kingdom. I mean, it had a lot of nations under it. Again, we can go into that history as well. Like the way Babylon was, it's like how America was. You had all kind of businesses that was being going on. And you had a lot of nations too that was involved in building the Babylonian system up. Yeah, come. Yeah, that's the image right there. Come.
States.
Yeah, so go on now.
I read on. Verse 5, and behold another beast, a second, like to a bear,
Yeah.
and raised itself up on one side.
Right, because on the other side you had the Medes, which the Medes were the people of Japheth. So you had two nationalities of people that were ruling the Medio. That's why it was called the Medio-Persian Empire. You had the Persians, which were nothing more than Elamites, and as well as you had those Japhethites, which the people of Japheth today. Like you have this whole breakdown of who Japheth is, and it's not the so-called white people. Japheth are the people of the South Pacific Ocean, and as well as the Aboriginals, the so-called Aborigines of Australia. They're the people that came together with the Elamites, the Medio-Persian Empire.
And behold another beast, a
And
second.
around that time, it's like, and around that same time, this is when it was told to Cyrus the king of Persia, for the Israelites to what? Rebuild the temple that was fallen. Okay? That's in Daniel's 9 as well. We can get into that some other time. Brother, go on, brother.
Yeah, Caleb. Caleb.
What?
Even the big one.
No, the big one for the two of them, innit?
Is it
Oh,
gonna,
you get it.
is it gonna bring that back today? I don't think so. We're going.
Right, so it says, verse 5, and behold another beast, a second like to a bear, and raised itself up on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it,
Yeah, and the
between the teeth.
three ribs represents the places that they conquered. Which one of the places was Egypt, one of the places was Babylon and Libya. So those are the 3 areas that they came and infiltrated and they took to theirs. All right, go on.
And they said, thus unto it,
Excuse me. Did I mention Babylon?
yeah, we come over Babylon, we're talking about Medo Persians.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is, you know what I meant with the 3 rivers. Oh, no. So Babylon was the main kingdom that they took over. They became much more greater than the Babylonians. And took them over, and they took over those 2 areas, Egypt and Libya.
Daniel,
7.
Verse 1, I'm at about verse 5 now.
Go on, brother.
Shall we read on? Yeah. Right, so it says, after this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings as a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given unto it.
Right, and dominion was given unto it, which we know that Alexander the Great, which he was as the apostle to heart went into the history. Alexander the Great, he was real cool with the Israelites, and he was, he did into what he was like going into and everything like that. When he told him, and he was into our customs and everything. Right, he allowed us to keep our customs as well. But what happened was you had the 4, he passed on, and then the 4 generals came on the scene. We know who those 4 are. You have one which was Cassandra, and the other one which Cassandra ruled in, I believe, was Thrace. And he also ruled in, I got the notes anyway, so I'll make sure I'm important. But yeah, Cassandra ruled in Macedonia, Greece. And the other one is, Ptolemy, I mentioned him already. Lasamicus, which he ruled. No, he was the one that ruled in Thrace, which is south of Bulgaria, and Bithynia he ruled. And you have another guy, which his name was yeah, I've mentioned him already. You've mentioned Cassandra Lasamicus.
And plus is something. Plus.
Ptolemy.
Yes.
And Antiochus.
Okay.
Antiochus. Which Antiochus, I believe he ruled. I don't really remember where he ruled, but yeah, those are the four that came after Alexander the Great at the time. So they spread it. They pretty much proliferated the Greek Empire at the time.
I think that's when wickedness increased, isn't it?
That's when exactly.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And what is it? Right in the book of Maccabees, where it mentions about that wicked group.
Yeah.
That was him. That was Antiochus Epiphanes. That's Antiochus Epiphanes the third, if I'm correct.
So it's his grandfather.
Huh?
It was his grandfather who received from Alexander, right? Because Antiochus put the. It's like I don't want to interrupt your teaching, but when you mentioned Cassandra Ptolemy, Lasamicus, and Antiochus, that was Antiochus Epiphanes' grandfather, right?
Now I believe Antiochus came from the Seleucus side.
Okay, so like I understand.
Yeah. I'm gonna you know what too, what I'll do is I'll go back. Let me do the research on it right now. There's been a long time since I've actually went into this one. We gotta get this right. Anyway, you brothers talk so I can get this right.
I'll just pull out the Maccabees one because we're on that topic. And I'm still holding Daniel 7.
Okay.
It's like I didn't mean to distract you too.
No, that's all right. That's all right, brother. Because see, the thing of it is with us, we at Great Known so yeah, like we don't play no games with this stuff. We mean serious, we mean business, man. Like we're not gonna just wing it and act like, oh yeah, well, we gonna act like we know something, but that's not the correct way. Like we gotta like we as men have to put our pride aside and just accept for what it is, man. If you're going off, you're going off.
Yes.
So I'm right.
No, I'll just bring up because this is the precept I was thinking of, right?
Yeah.
This is First Maccabees 1, starting at verse 9. I'll read into it. Let's start 7. So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died, and his servants bare rule, everyone in his place. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves, and so did their sons after them many years. And evils were multiplied in the earth.
Yeah.
And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, the son of Antiochus the king.
Right, the son of Antiochus the king.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
All right, no, but what I want to look into is to see if he came out of the Seleucus line as well. I want to get into that. But yeah, if you want, you can talk on that.
Yeah, so it says, son of Antiochus the king, who had been a hostage at Rome, and he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. And in those days there went out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us, for since we have departed from them, we have had much sorrow. So there was evils are multiplied in the earth, and there are some of our people who are so how do you say, estranged from the Most High and enamored by the customs of the heathen, that they sought to partake in those customs. So they wanted to disannul the covenant that we were under and forsake all of that to go and be in line with the Greeks and the other heathen that are around about us. So that's where you get the mystery of the Gentiles, which is a deeper topic. But that's another topic for another time. But the point is, now we're in the revival of this Roman Empire, and you've got people of our nation who are in that same mindset, doing the same thing this very day.
Yep.
When we say to them, you're an Israelite, no, I'm just black, or I'm West Indian. They are forsaking the covenant that we're under to go and partake in the ways of the heathen. They're learning the customs of the heathen, and they take great pleasure in being likened unto the heathens. If you found it,
Yeah, I found it. Yes, I was correct. Antiochus came from the Seleucus, empire at the time. But that's when Islam came out of the Seleucus. Yeah, so this is the thing, like, we don't just wing stuff, man. We do the research because it's a true
You're right.
research.
Yeah, he's right.
Well, they-
Got to
um,
give it. So what up?
And if you say you, like it says in the book of Proverbs, if you be found, what is it? It says something to the equivalent that if you don't, like, man, let me see if I can find it. So I tell you what, somebody pull that out, man. It's in Proverbs.
Roughly paraphrase it. Just give me the gist.
I tell you what, I'll do as he said, because I got the app on my phone anyway. So we go. Yeah, you brother, yeah, continue to talk.
Yeah.
What's up? You got anything else to say?
So today you got these sellouts, right? You can call them rappers. You can call what's the one, the recent one with Rihanna, with the Vogue magazine, the latest one with the Vogue magazine. And Wayne Wade, they was given an award for supporting the alphabet people. Those were back there. That's what the point he's making. Those people you see today in the rapping industry and all the sellouts in the Senate, right? Who was eager to go with the ways of the heathen, the book of Maccabees, to go with the wicked men. Those people are back here. Those probably people like Rihanna and them people there,
Yeah.
Beyonce and Jay-Z,
Yeah, because they spoke about those that sold out. That went and consented with them.
Kanye, or the Yee people, you know, because they was pretty prominent people. Those people, you know, where these are prominent people now.
Who had influence.
Who had influence.
Yeah.
yeah.
And persuade others to do the same.
Yeah, so read what you got, brother.
Right, this is Surah 3 and verse 25. It says, without eyes thou shalt want light, profess not the knowledge, therefore that thou hast not.
Yeah, and so this is why we look up things. Like I said, we don't just wing things like it's wing living. Oh, it'll be okay. Nah, like the scripture says, little level the whole one. So we have to be sharp in what we're talking about. Because we're teaching our people. And we don't want to be considered as false prophets. What's the law? How you deal with a false prophet according to the book of the law? Put them to death. So you have to be intricate with what you're talking about, man. This is
It's lucky the prophet bells had they was all put to death. The prophet bells.
yeah, exactly. They were prophets of Allah. Exactly. Proverbs 30 and verse 6. Add thou not unto his words, lest he reprove thee and thou be found alive. If someone come up and say, "Oh, you talking shit," you're not. I don't mean to, use so-called as the bad word, so to speak. I'm trying to be as clean as I can so that all of you is edifying. Because you don't really know who's watching. It could be like young people that's watching. But we're men, so we're men coming from rough parts of the rough. What is it? How to go and look like. You know what?
The rough side of the life.
Yeah.
From the silver spoon side.
Coming from the rough side of the tracks, man. So that's why we talk like that. All right. But if you're deep into the knowledge, you're not gonna mind it. But I'm not making an excuse. I gotta do better on that regard. Anyway, yeah. So go back and hit me with
Next piece.
yes.
So we got to verse 6. Let's read it again. After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings. Did you break down? Yeah, you broke down the 4 generals, right?
Yeah.
Of a fowl, and the beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given unto it.
Yeah, because the 4 heads were like we just went into Cassander, Ptolemy, Antiochus, and Lysimachus. Those were the 4 generals that came after Alexander's death, which he reigned for 12 years, and they proliferated the Greek Empire, which I believe they ran from from 338 BC to 160 something odd BC. Something like that anyway. Going on.
Verse 7. And after this I saw in the night visions, and behold a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly. And it had great iron teeth, and it devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it.
Right.
And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it.
Right, now this is talking about the Roman Empire, which broke into pieces because consistently, like what you found out when you go into the history of Rome, a lot of the times they were fighting these wars with these other nations. Because certain nations, I mean, I have to go back into history, but we've always had a lot of wars happening in between the Romans and the other nations. Now, in some cases, sometimes they won, but for the most part, they lost because the Lord was dealing with the Roman Empire again because they had to fulfill their time in the season
Roman
without
Empire.
being taken out. Go on.
The beast with 4 heads.
And it was strong exceedingly, and had great iron teeth, and it devoured and brake to pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it.
And it said it had iron teeth. What does the iron represent?
Strength.
The strength, the power. Because when they were ruling over the military, and the military was they were in uniform wearing iron itself, which is the strongest element, kind of metal that they use. They use it for their swords, and as well as they use it from their armor. And when you actually look at the ancient blacksmith, what they would do is they would burn, they would put it under intensified heat, the metal, then they would mold it into an armor, and they would beat the metal while it's going into intense heat, and they would do it for a long time until they actually get it to be real durable and strong. So when they went to go fight, they was just knocking guys out, man, left, right, hand, and center. I mean, they were skilled with the sword and everything, as it goes and tells you in the book of Genesis, what is it, chapter 25, where it reads that Esau was blessed with the sword, right? He was also a cunning hunter, all right? So they were skilled when it came to the sword.
Yeah.
When it came to that sword thing, they knew what it was all about.
Roman army was fearsome in that they was very what's the word, man? Very disciplined, and you couldn't break. They didn't break ranks. No. When they spoke to confront the enemy, they would all be locked hand in hand they had shields on in front of them and shields above them too.
Yeah,
you might have seen that in some of those.
That's the show.
Yeah, and they would just keep going. You see some of them old Saxon. Hey, Jason and the Argonauts. Yeah, moved around that era. That's how the Roman army got down.
And the next verse, you going up.
It was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns.
And the 10 horns represents those 10 original nations which came about to formulate what we know it as the EU. You had the what is it, man? You had I think it was obviously it was you had one which was Greece.
Yeah.
You had one which was obviously France.
Romania Major.
Germany, that's going into the so that's lucky, right? And you had at the end of the day, you had the original 10, which really what I'll do is I'll pull it up, man. I'll go into it. I got it on my phone already, right? Because you had this back in 1958, they've already established the parliament. The EU established the parliament around the time, and you had those original 10. Which they came together, they made a couple of each other in 57. So I'm going to pull that out. I thought I had this on deck.
Brother Aria, that water for bringing the umbrellas here. That water, brother. Bless you.
Get it going, brother.
Yeah, I know. Still bless you, brother.
I checked the weather forecast and I said, yeah, you can't be too sure.
So let me see something real quick. One of you brothers talk. This one. I thought I had it.
So that's Esau's spirit to be at war. And you're seeing the same thing in this current kingdom, because what we're living in right now is the revival of the Roman Empire. And if you look at the history of America, for the majority of the time that they've been in power, they've been at war. Because that's Esau's nature, man. It's like he's like a thief that can never be satisfied. No matter how much he has, he always wants more. So that's why he's always trying to run up into other countries, trying to get them to partake in drinking of the wine of Babylon, taking on their customs. Esau's a fucking, I don't know how to put it. No matter how much you give him, it's never enough. He'll never be satisfied. That's why he's going to end up destroying his own self through his own greed.
The earth is defiled, man. I think that's in Isaiah 24. The earth is defiled.
Under the inhabitants thereof.
You can get that.
It's like I'm holding this other one on here. Isaiah what?
It's in Isaiah 24,
Okay,
around 5. I'll get it.
I'm kind of juggling with my hands.
I'm back. Yeah, so I got it right here. So the one is Belgium, right? Second is what is it? Denmark, France, Italy, Luxembourg, Netherlands. Yeah, Greece, Spain, and Portugal, England, and Ireland, and West Germany. Yeah, so those are the original 10 that came together, which was known as the the European Economic Community, also known as the European Union right now. So they all got together in 1957 and established the Parliament in 1958. So that's the original 10 that brought back this beast, which the beast originated back in Europe. That's why when you read the scriptures, it's mentioned as the bottomless spirit. So let's go back to that.
Yeah. Back in Daniel 7. Verse 7, and after this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly, and they had great iron teeth. They had great iron teeth, and it devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it, and it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it.
Yeah, so what does the residue represent? The residue represents them consuming us, the ones of us that didn't listen, that stayed in the land of Jerusalem that was besieged.
67 to 71, right?
Exactly. So that's what that represents. That they sunk the residue with. In other words, they killed the people that was in the land. Born.
Being funny, but giving that
And it was
ambulance
diverse
thing,
from all
but
the
giving
beasts
the
that
big
were
Okay,
before it,
interpret
and it had 10
It
horns.
might
And it had-
He would do it.
Exactly. What made this beast diverse? Yeah, so what made this beast diverse? Because it tells you in the book of Maccabees that all of the previous kings of the other nations would wear purple regalia to declare that they were the ones in rulership. But what they did was what the Romans did is they set up houses, and people would obviously have the ability to vote in what Caesar they wanted to be over. This is what you have right now. It's like how you had it back then. You have what? You have these different Senate houses. People are capable of voting who they want to, be their president or their prime minister down here in the UK. All right. So that's how they actually styled it in Rome. Now, further back in the ancient world, previously among these nations, you would sit on the throne because your father sat on the throne. It was linear. It was lineage wise. If you were connected or you had a father that was on the throne, once he reigned and died, and you was next on the throne. That's how they did it. But in ancient Rome, they did it by the Senate house. And the Caesars would rule for a time, which that goes into which really, if you want to, which really what is the second issue 12 chapters talks about that. How you had all of these heads, these feathers that came in enjoyed for a season and came after each other. But that's how they were doing it. And it's the same thing like how you have it right now. Right now you have Parliament, the Parliament House, the House of Commons. Down in America you have those different Senate houses and all of that. Yeah, and they do all of that work to get the to elect your president to be the leader of the country. Okay, which really your president is someone that's basically someone to the equivalent of like a lesser CEO. Because basically, like, what is basically really telling to call what is it, the leader of that country or president is basically saying that that's a corporation. All right, because every corporation you have a president or a lesser CEO, so to speak. Go on, brother. That's all I wanted to say right there.
So reading on, it says, verse 8, I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn,
Right.
before the whom were the three of the first horns plucked up by the roots.
Right, and that little horn represents the eighth, which will go into perdition in Revelations, what is this? 17th chapter. Somebody get, I think when you get that, brother. But hold on with that, because you really can go over so much. I think let me go and get it, since I'm not holding the umbrella, right? So now let me go and get Revelations 17.
Can we get it, Angel?
Oh yeah, the water, brother. But you're holding the umbrella too, so I'll go and get it. I got it. Revelations 17. This is it right here. Revelations 17. What is it? Verse 11. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the eighth, and is of the seven, and goeth into perdition. So that's what that little horn represented. That little horn represented America coming out of Great Britain. Now, if you go into the history of the First World War, Britain was superior in terms of obviously geopolitically and as well as currency-wise too. All right, but after After World War I happened, and as time made progress, after World War II, now we're just going to fast forward around World War II and after World War II. What happened was America became the leading country in this case, right? So that's what that goes into. The eighth, which came out of the seventh, and that little one going. Get back to Daniel 7.
And I considered the horns, and behold, came up among them another little horn, before the whom were the three of the first horns plucked up by the roots.
Yeah, and those three horns represent those three European countries that were there at the time. Like if you go into the Revolutionary Wars, it goes into that. How you had the French that was involved in these Revolutionary Wars in America. You had the Spanish, and I believe it was the British. So these were the three horns that was plucked out. All right, America became that superior horn influence-wise. Go on, brother. Even though that this is originally the British Empire, but America's the most influential nation. England holds the finite power of this civilization. Go on.
And behold, in this horn were the eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things.
Right, and a mouth speaking great things, which they would speak, how they would speak, based on their nuclear their nuclear technology. Like it reads, I'll tell you what, hold on to that. Keep the Revelations. I think it's Revelations 13 and verse 15. Start with verse 14 though. As they spoke great things based on their weapons of destruction. Remember, this is the Roman Empire, and Most High blessed them to rule with the sword and sword, going back to Genesis 27. All right,
And Revelation 15.
It was still in that. Revelation 13, verse 14 and 15.
Revelation 13 and starting from 14, it says, and deceive them that dwell on the earth by means of those miracles which he had power.
Right.
Of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had the wounds by a sword and his name.
Which was talking about Rome.
And he
is really the point of it.
And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast.
No, read the verse where it says, I'll tell you what, read verse 16. No, read the verse where it says, what is it? He made fire to come down from the
side of men.
On the side of men, you'll read that. That's really the one I wanted. I think that's maybe the 13.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's
and,
it, yeah.
and he doth, and he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men.
Right, and that's how he spoke great things. That's how this devil spake great things against the Most High. In the book of Daniel, which one is it, the 7th chapter. Which that's nothing great to the Most High, because the Most High gave them that ability to do that in the first place. Let's just get that correct. Go on, man.
Verse 9, and I beheld until the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit,
Right.
whose garment was as white as
So
snow.
you notice, after we went through all of these different paganistic empires, including this one, now it mentions, what is it? So all of the thrones were passed out. And then what? Who came on the scene? The Ancient of Days that did sit. So now we know what time we're living. Once again, we're living in the time of the ending of the statue, which is in reflection of these paganistic empires. So in a matter between this time and the time of Yahweh Shai, it's very short. It's extremely short, because all of the signs and wonders which were spoken of by the prophets, it's already come to pass. Most of the prophecies have come to pass, and there's a few more prophecies that will come thereafter to lead up to the main Magdalene prophecy, which is the vision that all of the prophets received, which is the most important one of that, which is the incoming of the Messiah.
That's right.
All right, and that's what we're expecting now.
Wow.
So it's all leading up to that point. Go on, my brother.
Whose garment was as white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool.
Right, and that's letting you know that that's a so-called black man. Because only so-called black people, for the most part, have woolly textured hair. Okay, go on, brother. And you know what too? Like, I remember the elder of Chicago, the elder Malcolm, but he went into that. Like, I believe he had like this old dictionary from the 1930s. And what they had was, is under the definition of wool, Negro hair, something to that equivalent he went into. So the Lord was the so-called black man. He was a man of color, as explained in the Bible. A lot of people have been saying for years, what does it matter? They still kind of say that now. What does it matter what color he is? It does matter what color he is, for the sake of the truth. How are you going to worship someone if you don't know what their projection is? You got to know everything about them, from who they are and from what they look like. Go on, bro.
And the hair of his head like pure wool, and his throne was like a fiery flame, and his wheels as a burning fire. A fiery stream issued and came forth from before him, and thousands ministered unto him.
Yeah, this tag alongs with the other precepts where it actually tells you that all of the eyes of them will see him, and as well as the scripture says that the thousands of thousands he's coming. So he's not just only going to come by himself, he's going to come with the rest of his spiritual crew to literally cover the earth.
All hands on deck.
All hands on deck, boy. That's how this thing is playing out. So that's why we are here at this very moment in time. The reason why we was born is to be here to do what we're doing right now.
That's right.
That's the only reason why we were born. To prepare and herald the day of the coming of the Lord. And how do we do that? By going in these precepts, breaking it down the right way, and bringing light to them so that you can actually see it for yourself. Again, we're in a time of the books being open. Go on, brother.
And 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set and the books were open.
Right, and the judgment was set and the books were open. So right now we're in a time of the Lord judging this devil, and as well as judging the 2/3 of our own people, and as well as the righteous receiving their judgment, which will be a righteous judgment because of their righteous works. And at the same time, the books are going to be open. So this is it. This is it. So yeah, read it. Keep going, brother, to verse 12.
Yep, so it says in verse 11, I beheld then because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake, and I beheld even till the beast was slain, and his body was destroyed and given to the burning flame.
Right, and given to the burning flame. So the thing with it is, this beast is going to be destroyed based on the nuclear destruction that's coming down the pipe. And another thing too, the Lord making a second return to add more insult into injury. That's how this place is going to go down. This beast, or this revival version of the Roman Empire, is going to be burned on fire. Then Yahweh shall say, right, that what if I come to send fire if I've already been kindled on the earth? Yeah? So he's coming to send fire, and as well as he's going to orchestrate men to bring the fire, the force of fire, to destroy this beast, to destroy the civilization. Go on, bro.
Matthew 25 and 21 says, when the Son of Man shall come in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory, and before him shall be gathered all nations, and he shall separate one from another, and a shepherd divided the sheep from the goats. And he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on his left.
Yeah, the goats represents the Edomites. They're the goats. Because when you look at when you go and read the scripture, but it's in Daniel's somewhere, but it mentions ego. Right, it mentions Alexander the Great as the he-goat. Shalom, brother. You know what I mean? So the goat is symbolic of the Edomites. The sheep is symbolic of the Israelites. The Howard Shah likens, right? The Howard Shah likened his people as who? Allah sheep. So we are the sheep.
I started to worry, I didn't see you.
Which means that they're the wicked. Go on, brother.
Verse 12, as concerning the rest, did you go into the burning flame part?
No, I want you to read that again. Actually.
Yeah. Verse 11, I beheld because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake, and I beheld even till the beast was slain.
Right, and I beheld even till the beast was slain. Go on.
And his body was given to the burning flame.
And so we're going to elaborate even on that regard. How is the beast going to be slain? I know I elaborated on how it's going to be done, but what I want to do is I want to elaborate it by reading another precept.
Revelation 17 will be, and these shall make the door, shall burn it unto the fire.
And also you can also get Revelations 12 and 7. Because you got to always keep in mind that the topic is that the Messiah is going to make a second return. So when the Messiah makes a second return, as you just read earlier, my brother, that it shall enter into the house of the people. So what's going to happen? The beast, which is the system, the revival version of Rome, what they're going to, try to do is try to become the Messiah when he makes a second return, but that's not going to be the case. So yeah, start with verse 7. Revelation 12 and verse 7.
Revelation chapter 12 verse 7. And then there was war in heaven, and Michael and his angels fought against the dragon.
The dragon is in resemblance of this system. Go on.
And the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven.
Right, neither was their place found any more in heaven. Heaven in this case represents this room, this earth. So here on this earth, there's not going to be a place to behold. The beast will be destroyed. The beast will be put on fire according to Daniel's 7th chapter, as Daniel's prophesied. Excuse me, he had a vision. Because the prophets always had the vision. And then he would prophesy that vision, and then that vision would eventually come to pass.
Verse 9, and that great dragon was cast out.
And that great dragon was cast out because what made this man great? Obviously, first and foremost, dealing with the power of the Lord on the left-hand side. That's what made this man great. And then he was in slavery, and we elevated this devil economically too. And a lot of us pay our tax. And the taxpayers' money has allowed it to develop these weapons of mass destruction and everything else to continue to dominate the planet. Hasn't happened. All right, go on.
And that great dragon was cast out. That old serpent, called the devil and Satan.
And why is he known as the old serpent, which is called the devil and Satan? Because basically, this devil comes in the spirit of the old serpent in the Garden of Eden. Genesis 3. So he's the reincarnation of that spirit. Or they are as a people, especially the government construct, and as well as those that are above the government as well. Go on.
Called the devil and Satan.
Called the devil and Satan. So the Bible is basically saying that this white man is the devil. All right, because this beast is the red dragon is symbolic of the Edomites being red. As a matter of fact, what you got to be Revelations, the 6th chapter. You know what I want. also, brother, give me what is it? Isaiah 1 and 14. 1 and 8. I think it's either 1 and 14 or 1 and 18. Yeah, when it gets real cold, man, the pages stick together.
Can I read it? While he's getting that?
Yeah, go on.
If it starts at 1, I'll read 18. I'll learn, I read 7. Learn to do well, seek judgment, relieve the oppressed, judge the fatherless, plead for the widow.
You go to verse 18.
18, yeah. Come now and let us reason together, saith the Lord. Through your sins be as scarlet, they shall be as white as snow. Though they be red like crimson, they shall be as wool.
And that's why what? The beast is known as the what? The red, what is it? The red scarlet colored beast. Which is to represent that this white man is the man of sin, or the sons of perdition, according to the book of Romans 9 chapter. So this man of sin will what? Bring his level of destruction as he's done, and also take this from the earth. That's what it is.
Right, so this is Revelation chapter 6. I think it's verse 81, right? It says, I looked and behold a pale horse.
No, I think it was 6. Try 6.
Oh, 6 and 6. Oh, yeah. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts saying, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of
Verse
barley.
7. Go to verse 7.
That's where I was.
Okay.
And when I looked, he had opened the 4th seal, and I heard a voice of the 4th beast say, come and see. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death.
Right, and really what the pale horse is, just to cut it short, all you gotta do is read 2nd Ezra 16 and 16. That's what the pale horse represents in the next one.
And his name was Death, and let me read it again. And his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto them over the 4th part of the earth, to kill with the sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth.
Yeah, that's it on that. Yes, so go keep going.
And when he had opened the 5th seal, I saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of God, and for the testimony which they held.
Right, so again, that's proving that you're gonna have some of us that may have to die for this thing too. Go on.
And they cried with a loud voice, saying, how long, O Lord, holy and true, dost thou not judge and avenge our blood on them that dwelleth on the earth?
Keep going.
And white robes were given unto every one of them.
Now go to the one where it's the red ones.
Well, I think it's really up in the scripture. We'll go back to verse 1. First source is white. Right, verse 4. Verse 4 is what we want. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given over to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword.
Yeah, because the red horse is symbolic of the humans, because they are red, and as well as it represents that they are the people of sin. And whenever you operate through sin, whenever you operate through sin, guess what? You're going to transgress everything that the Heavenly Father has established. And therefore, you're transgressing against nature. So with that being said, you will take peace from the horse. All right? That's why no one can say that they have a genuine peaceful life. But to a higher and greater sense, through this nuclear destruction, okay, that's how he's going to take peace from the earth and destroy himself in the process as well. Okay, so that's all I really want on that. So go back to what you had before, brother.
Back in Revelation 12, so verse 9, and that great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world.
Yep.
And he was cast out into the earth,
Yep.
and his angels were cast out with him.
Right, and all of those air jet fight planes, those on air, those, what is it, those fighter jets, they're all going to be cast out to nothing. Well, let me just elaborate just a little bit. They're going to be cast out on the fire, and they're going to just be obliterated. And all those jet fighters are going to be pretty much done, destroyed, and like I said, obliterated.
And Ezra 13.
Absolutely. Yep. You don't have to go and get that, but yeah, that's pretty much what that is. The war in heaven in a nutshell, second Ezra is the 13th chapter. And I believe it's in, I believe it begins in what? Verse maybe 30 or something like that. Right? Where it talks about that war in heaven.
But the modern day army, Roman army, being done away with again. The reincarnated Romans being, the army being destroyed again. Which is the military, modern day. It's the military today.
That's it.
And that's beautiful, Elder, because it's all about the elect at the end of the day, yeah? It's all about the elect, because what Brother Caleb just read, he says that they go out and deceive the whole world. But what the scripture says about, if it were possible, they will deceive the elect, you know? So it's all about the elect.
Because the Roman army was almost invincible, and they didn't see themselves going down. Again, the reloaded army, again, the military, they're
I need it again.
Oh yeah. That chariot was giving more of a sense of a delusion. They're deluding themselves and they're lying to the people, but they're deluding themselves as well. Saying that they're shooting down chariots.
Yeah. Well, you know, as it reads in the book of Obadiah, right? It says that the pride of thine heart hath deceived them. So because they're fully equipped with this technology, having weapons of mass destruction and having all of these guns, they really think that they're an indestructible kind of force, and they can just do whatever the hell they want. But as time is showing is that they don't have that kind of power anymore. All right. Now what is it? As the saying goes, as Malcolm X said, the chickens are now coming home to roost on their house. All right. And the Bible is speaking up against them right now. Yet this very moment in time, and the Bible is happening. Hey, Shalom, brother. You know, that's how it's going down, baby boy. Anyway, so let's continue on back into Revelation.
Shalom, brother. Yeah, wash your mashaka. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you, brother.
Verse 10, and I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our God and the power of his anointing. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night.
Right, which accuse them before their power day and night. So they pray against our downfall, man. They pray for our downfall. Because they know that we represent the next kingdom. We represent the Most High. And they're against the Most High. So let's just try and trick the Most High to make him think that we're his people instead. And that's why they took our culture, infiltrated our land, and now they call themselves praying and all that. But they can't even do that right. They come from the wall, and just looking like they're a bunch of retards. And they got us out here eating pork, eating shrimp, eating all kind of abominable foods, you know, living a beastly kind of lifestyle, killing one another, so that they can call themselves saying, look at your people. Look what they're doing to each other, Lord. Right? But you can't trick the Most High, man. Everything that you've done, Esau, the Most High already planned it out way before you was even thought of. So come on, man, he made you, he created you to be a certain way. He put a spirit in you. So everything that you're doing, it was already orchestrated, man. It was already played out. This is your time to go down now. This is what time we're living. And we're going to keep saying it as well as Lord kept on saying that the flood was going to come. But guess what? Eventually it came to come. Right? So there you go. Yes, to go and hit you with, what is it? Go back to Daniel's, brother. Oh, yeah.
Back in Daniel, I got to verse 7 and 11. Right, so it says, I beheld then, because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake, and I beheld even till the beast was slain, and his body destroyed and given to the burning flame.
Right. So, again, just like you said, the Lord is going to infiltrate and destroy this devil, and it's the nuclear destruction is going to destroy this devil. This whole entire beast, this whole entire system, which is what we're going to be perfectly, judged for, treason, to speak up against a current system. And that's all right, because the prophets are going to speak the words of the Heavenly Father. That's what we're built to do. We have a job to do. All right? This is not a willy-nilly thing. Oh, yeah, it's just a Saturday evening. We're going to go out. There's nothing that we're doing today.
It's just a social thing.
It's just a social thing, a gathering, a boys' club. This ain't that. We're at work. This is war. And the thing of it is, we're at work, and we're doing the services of the Lord. We're built to do the services of the Lord. And you know this very well. So you know this. All of the powers that be, the governmental structures of the system, they know who we are. They know that we're the prophets, and we represent what a sign of their downfall, and we're telling them consistently, and we're going to continue to tell them until it actually happens. Because you know what? You can already see it already. They can also see it too. Okay, they know that they know that in the back of their mind, possibly they could be approaching their end. They know this. All right.
That's
If they know it halfway, then come on, the prophets of the Lord are going to know it all the way. All right.
The Most High will do nothing except to reveal his secrets unto his servants, the prophets.
Privy to are the signs of the times. We just went into the statue, which represented only the paganistic empires. One thereafter came, right? So this part that we're in right now, we're at the part of the 10 toes, which this empire came about within the realms of Europe. When you had those original 10 nations within the EU that came together in 1958, right? and basically, expanded their power, the Western power. And now we're at the time where it's finished now. It's about to be up. The book is about to be closed up in this place. It all had a time. Every empire had a start that had its time. Now we're witnessing for the very first time now in our generation the destruction of this place.
That's right.
So I want you to go and hit me with Daniel, 7 and 12, right? This is not a joke, man. This is real life. When me telling you going down, we telling you like it's actually happening, because it is actually happening. While we're telling you, we've been saying this for years. We're not just some new guys on the block. Or we came a year ago, or we came maybe 4 months ago. No, some of us been doing this for almost pushing 20 years, man. Some of us almost 15 years. Some of us 15 years, some of us 20 years, 30 and 40 years. How about that? All right? We've been doing this for a long time, man. So that's why we're not surprised. Because everything that's happening right now, we've already said it before. We've already envisioned it. Go on, bro.
Daniel 7 verse 12. As concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and time.
Exactly, and yet their lives were prolonged for a season and a time. They all had a time. So this kingdom was not to be an everlasting kingdom. These levels really think, are we going to come with a great reset?
Well, the proof is that they're building from ages the underground bunkers.
Yeah.
So that's a sure sign that they know something's coming.
I like what you said. So that's very telling right there. So why would you want to build an underground bunker?
Because they know something.
You're going to prolong your system, and this is going to be the only system thereafter. Then guess what? Why build an underground bunker? Because they know in the back of their fucking skulls that their end is going to be the case.
That's right. But even that's prophetic, because doesn't the scripture say they cried to the rocks, hide us from the face of the wrath of the Lamb? Some roughly paraphrasing. So they're going to be hiding from Yahweh Shai in their bunkers, but they're not going to escape.
They're not going to escape.
There was a little quick Kim Kardashian. She's got bought one, and they showed her on one of the series. Her and our sister went in for a trial run, and it was a trial run. So she's an insider. Someone's advised her, some big corporation dealings or whoever them elites, behind her. Said, you may want to invest in one of these. So she's done it now. She's invested in it. She said, we're going in, her and her sister, and she went in it for 3 hours, and they were getting all risky. She said, how are we going to do this? Can't even do it for 3 hours. At least we were saying that. It's getting boring, and she wants to be able to do her Instagram and all that. She ain't going to last she couldn't last for 3 hours, man. She ended up walking out of there. But so that's for all the supporters of Kim Kardashian, the women that know about her, the Joneses. They're known as the Joneses today. They would be the modern day Joneses, following the Joneses. Yeah. So they know because they get inside information.
It's not going to benefit them, man. They're still going to get destroyed.
They know what's to come. All that surgical lipstick and all that thing what she got, when the bomb goes in there, it's all going to explode.
BBLs as well. All that shit's going to all that shit's going to be
all them press are going to explode, man.
Yeah, man. So I mean, they're just they're representing the world of the living. It's all fake.
Yeah, that's right.
It's all BS. Yeah. Fake, like you got women with fake lips, fake tits, a fake, facade with the makeup on and everything. It's all fake.
And that butt might be fake too. I believe it's fake.
Yeah, Brazilian butt.
When they get to a certain age, well, she might be a J, but the butt goes flat. It's got bigger. So what's going on there, man?
It's BBL, Brazilian butt lift, they call it.
Yeah.
They take fat from other parts of their body and they put it on their arse to make the arse will plump.
That's gonna explode.
That's
Pull up,
ridiculous.
dump into smoke.
That's what you call vanity.
Yeah.
And it might be. I hope it's televised when she explodes, man. All them, because that's the example. A lot of people, all them young girls, that's their role model, isn't it? So what are they gonna do when she gets blown? When she explodes, man, literally explodes. All the cosmetics.
You never know, she might end up like Jezebel or Lot's wife.
She might be just about the reincarnation. But I'm just, we just talk it's luck.
Okay, no, that's all right. That's all right. Yeah. So now let's go back and read what we have, my brother.
Back in Daniel 7 and 12, is that one you want?
Yes.
As concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and a time.
Yes. Now going back to our second Esdras from 9 and 7. I think it's 9 and 6 and 9 and 7.
Second Ezra chapter 9, starting at verse 6. Even so, also, the times of the highest have plain beginnings in wonders, and powerful works, and endings in effects and signs.
And when the Messiah makes a second return, it's going to make a powerful effect on the face of the earth. You see, the Lord ain't going to just bring this matter to an end on a very, neutral kind of vibration where nothing happens. No, the Lord is going to come here and destroy this place with a greater impact, with a greater vibration. And it's going to be well solidified and well known who the Most High Power is, and His name is going to be glorified in that time. And as well as on top of that, we're going to receive a glorified salvation, which is going to what? It's going to eclipse the previous salvation which happened to us in Egypt. Go on, bro.
So like, just to add to your point, everything that these people have believed to be reality will come crumbling down.
Yep.
When Yahushua cracks the clouds,
But you know it's going to come crumbling down because it was all fake. It
Yeah.
was all an illusion.
But it boils down to, brothers, it boils down that the Lord is going to show His power. That's all it is.
That's all it is.
It's all it is, to show His power. I am the man, basically, you know?
And you know what's going to happen? All of those that are saying that they're atheists, they're going to become
Exactly.
they're going to become more believers than those
Yeah,
that
man.
were believers.
You're right.
So the truth is going to be revealed, man. That the Most High, He ruleth in everything. He rules in the kingdom of men. So, actually, matter of fact, let's read that, man. Daniel, you see this before?
Most High reigning for the kingdom of men. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's all going to be known who the Most High Power is. The reason why these devils have been playing around and getting away with a whole lot of BS because the Lord hasn't showed Himself. So when pops come around, that's when all of His children can be put in their rightful place. You know what I'm saying? Like some of us, we don't have that situation where we mess around with moms and all of that. And
She's a
then
lighter one, yeah.
right. And then when Dad come around, shit, fall back because I don't want to get an ass with him. You know what I mean? So that's how it's gonna be when the Lord makes the second return. All of these devils that was talking big talk, and we're gonna have these bugs. We're gonna change your genetically, right? Change you genetically, and also change your foods, and we're gonna go way out and transition to a technological world. When the Lord come back, He's gonna stop all of that, man. You niggas is gonna be like shaking in their boots. Because then they're gonna realize the real power. Now we're gonna get that too going, brother.
Daniel, I don't know if this is the one you want, but Daniel 4, verse 34.
By what is it? That the living may know that I think it's 4 and 24. But, no, I think it's no. Read what you was gonna read because I could be wrong.
Right. And at the end of the days, I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted up mine eyes unto heaven, and mine understanding returned unto me, and I blessed the Most High, and praised and honored Him that liveth forever, whose dominion is an everlasting dominion, and His kingdom is from generation to generation.
He's talking about the kingdom. The kingdom is going to be to generation unto generation. Our kingdom is going to be like that. That's what is going to make our kingdom much more greater than the previous kingdoms, because all of these kingdoms, as we just read in Daniel 7 and 12, that they all lived and had a season and time. So our kingdom is always going to be in season. It's always going to have its time. That's the difference. Go on, brother.
And all the inhabitants of the earth are reputed as nothing, and He doeth according to His will, in the army of heaven and among the inhabitants of the earth.
Try verse 24. I think it's 4 and 24. By the decree and the watches that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men. I think that's in verse 24.
No, that's not. It's not here. Let me find it for you. Just search.
Where are you in?
Daniel chapter 4.
17.
It could be.
Yes, that's the one. Fuada.
Huh.
Daniel 4:17. This matter is by the decree of the watchers and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men,
Yep.
and give it to whomsoever he will.
Right, to give it to whomsoever he will. Alright? So it's the Lord that's controlling and dominating this thing. So there's no, we're gonna come with a fourth industrial revolution, and we're gonna be much more greater and better to transcend into the next world. That's not gonna happen, man.
Make America great again.
Make America, right, build back better. You know what I mean? They're gonna come with the build back better slogan, which really goes back to 666, right? So they're trying to use all of this witchcraft in their talk, trying to, invoking spirits to walk by their side and get this world set up. But them demons is working with the Lord. So yeah, them demons are gonna help facilitate this one world system. All right? Because in the process of you doing this sort of thing, you're gonna bring out the MOTB, which is the final prophecy, the mark of the beast. Now, let me just come out and say it, the mark of the beast prophecy. Once that's all put into plan and put into action, then that's it for your kingdom. Your kingdom is gonna be out. All right? That's why these demons are working. Go on, brother.
It's like, you know, at the end of the Looney Tunes cartoons where it says, and that's all, folks. That's all. That's going to be it for America.
I got a precept for that. I got a precept for that. This is in Daniel. This was the feast of Belshazzar. Yeah, exactly what he's saying. In Daniel chapters 5 and 25 says, this is the writing that is written. Many techie.
Exactly.
Right? This is the interpretation. 26. This is the interpretation of the thing. Means God have numbered the kingdom and finished it.
Exactly. And guess what? This Babylon right here is Babylon. So the same way Babylon number 1 was measured, this Babylon number 2 is going to be measured out as well in its time. So we're at the end of this system. We're at the end of this civilization. And you know what too? People don't gotta know the prophecies like we do to know that they're at the end. People know it in their bones, man. People can sense it in their senses. Okay?
So like, that's another thing. You know, they had when Donald Trump was in power, he kept talking about we're going to make America great again. By the very fact that he's saying that sentence, he's actually admitting that America's no longer great.
Yeah.
Because if it was already great, why would you need to make it great again?
Right.
So they're admitting that their system's failing, man.
Yeah. And they need to restore it back to what it was. It ain't gonna come back to what it was. The reason why it's where it's at right now, because it's where it needs to be at. So that the kingdom of heaven can be established. You can't have two kingdoms. This one gotta burn on fire, and the next one gotta come on in the midst. If you can, brother, read that one more time in Daniel 7 and 12. Man.
Yep. All right. So back in Daniel 7 and 12 again. Right, so we've got to verse 12. Concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and a time. And I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven.
Right, and now it's mentioning the Son of Man. So, like I said, after we got them going into these different empires that had a time in their season, now this is referring to the Messiah. Because the Messiah is going to make his second return next. You can, brother, give me Daniel's chapter 2. Okay? You can read what you got though, but then get Daniel's chapter 2 about the Shah. Go on, bro.
Now this is in Joel. Joel chapter 3 and 9 says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up.
Right.
Beat your plowshares unto swords and your pruning unto spears. Let the weak say, I am strong.
Right, meaning certain nations that were weaker economically, that grew, that had an economy which was based on, from an agricultural setting, so to speak, because Russia had that going on back in the early days during the time of Joseph Stalin, right? And you had other weaker countries, like for example China. China was very poor at one particular point in time, and many others that I haven't named. But these countries have now become progressively stronger economically, and as well as greater when it comes to the weapons of war of mass destruction. They have adopted those same weapons of war, those same weapons of mass destruction from America, and now they are strong. And why are they strong? For the simple purpose of these nations going tick for tat, tap for tick to destroy this whole entire system, but more to destroy America. And check this out too. All the allies of America are going to turn on America. This is in the prophecy. All right. So all of that, which is what they've done, and came together, to be Confederates. Because the reason why you have NATO in the process is because of what was going on during the time of if I'm correct, Joseph Stalin. I believe Joseph Stalin ruled from like the 30s and the 1950s. And what you had at the time is you had this, you had all of those Eastern European countries. They were in unison. They were becoming a possible world dominated power. So what America had to do, and the Western powers had to do, they had to come together to mitigate, all right, to mitigate that world power. That's why they all came together. When you go into a little bit of the history, go on, brother.
Oh, you want more, yeah?
Yeah.
I went to Daniel 2, Romans 3, 17. Joel,
Yeah, I want some more.
Joel chapter 3, I read down again, then drop down. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw nigh, let them come up. Beat your pruning unto swords,
Yep.
and your pruning hooks unto spears.
So now they have greater weapons of destruction. Go on.
Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Get thither.
And that's what's been going on with the Russians. They've been mobilizing in many other nations that's in ally with Russia, and vice versa. America, you have the allies of America that's doing the same thing. They're all assembling themselves for that exact time and that moment for those angels to release those weapons of mass destruction, which is what bringing that destroying wind. Okay, all right, because the wind is already. That's in what is it? Revelations. It's being held back by the angels. Right. Revelations. I think it's 7. Revelation 7 is talking about. Go on, brother.
Cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Let the heathen be awakened, come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat.
Right.
Yeah,
Which the term Jehoshaphat means the Most High's judgment. Go on.
For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about.
Right. And just to cut it short, the reason why this war is going to happen because of what they have done unto us. In the book of Psalms, 83, it talks about all of the nations being confederate against our people. So, just like during the time of Jehoshaphat the king. Now, what was going on at the time, if you go into the history of it, I'm going to just touch on a brief part of the history of it. All of the nations at the time wanted to come at Jerusalem. And Jerusalem, obviously, they couldn't defend themselves because, come on, you got an amalgamation of all of those nations that's going to come at you, right? So what happened was the Lord, one of the prophets told Jehoshaphat to don't fear, right? I'm roughly paraphrasing, but I'm going into it to the best spot I know how to go into. So just bear with me. But like I was saying, pretty much the Israelites, they hid in the bushes. They did what was told of the prophet at the time. And when he did this, guess what happened? All of the nations that went to go pursue Jerusalem, they wound up meeting each other head on, and then they started fighting each other. And then guess what? It was all laid out. And the next thing you know, when the Israelites peeped their head out the bushes, all they saw was dead bodies. So this nuclear war is going to be a war that we don't even have to fight to defend ourselves. Them nations are going to basically bring in the kingdom by destroying themselves in the process. So that's why also this is going to be likened unto Jehoshaphat, which really his name represented the Lord judging the nations. Yahweh Shaphat. which means the Most High is going to punish or to judge the nations. Go on, brother.
The heathens round about.
As a matter of fact, let me compound the word. You know that Yahweh is obviously the Most High, but Shabbat means to also to judge. Just to say it like that. Go on. Yeah.
Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come get you down, for the press is full. The fat overflow, for their wickedness is great.
Right, for the fat overflow and their wickedness is great. So we're in that time where their wickedness has already reached its apex. So what's going to happen? Eventually, around about this time, the Lord is going to sanction something to go down. It's going to be probably a psychological operation or something that's going to happen over in Russia or whatever, right? And the next thing you know, it's going to be wartime. Or let's just say something happens to well, actually, let me correct myself, because we mentioned Jehoshaphat, right? Which would really be the Middle East. So let's just say something happens to Iran from a greater impact, right? Guess what's going to happen? Russia's going to step in there to defend their little ally, and as well as the other allies are going to defend them. Or let's just say something happens to Israel, vice versa. America's going to step in to protect their ally. All right, but it's all gonna stem. The official nuclear war is gonna stem from the Middle East. You know, Ukraine. I mean, things are going on over there, there and there. You know what I'm saying? Not saying it's not making no impact. Yeah, but officially, that's where it's going to really wind up, stimulating this war from that region. Go on, brother. The so-called Middle East, which really is the Middle East. Go on, brother.
See, the Ukraine situation has basically put all the pieces in position, because you're seeing who's allied with Russia and who's allied with America. So the battle lines are being drawn up already, and then, as you said, according to the prophecies, will go down around the Middle East.
Yeah, that's it. Plus you have those angels of destruction surrounding around the Euphrates River. So that's where it's all going to be up right there. You know what I mean? Just going back and read
The multitudes 40. Multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. The sun and the moon shall be darkened, and the stars shall withdraw their shining.
Yeah, because all of that smoke from those missiles is going to go up into the skies and cover and block out the sun.
The Lord also shall roar out of Zion and utter his voice from Jerusalem.
So even that's very telling that when they fight this war, when these nations go battle for battle, guess what? The Lord is going to intervene into all that. He's going to want a piece of that smoke as well.
I've trodden the wife just alone.
Go on.
And the heavens and the earth shall shake, but the Lord will be the hope of his people.
Right, the heavens and the earth shall shake. Doesn't it say in the scriptures that the earth shall shake to and fro like a drunkard? Yeah. That's absolutely. So when they drop those missiles on the earth, what do you think is going to happen? It's going to have a greater impact on the earth to the point where the earth is going to shake, it's going to tremble.
Yeah, if I may add, Elder, even down to the missiles, the Lord's Spirit is going to be in the missiles.
Yes, that's why he also, what did he say in Isaiah 9? I have greater
the swiftly, that's it, yes, it.
The ways to destroy.
To destroy, that's it.
You're absolutely right. The Lord is going to be on the missiles. And I know what you're talking about. Really, you're talking about Joel the 7th chapter. Because the Lord is going to make sure all those missiles aim where they got to aim. It ain't going to be faulty.
They're going to miss, that's it.
It's going to aim where they got to aim, and it's going to do what they got to do. To bring this system to a burnt crisp, as said in the book of Daniel, 7 and 12. So this is about the prophecies. This is about the words of the Lord are coming in to happen. As it is written that the Lord is on the power of the Shalom, nor repent of his words. Isaiah 55 verse 11 tells us that basically the Lord, how does it go, man? I noticed from the top of the head.
His word doesn't go out void.
Right. Shall accomplish that which I please and that which I sent. All right? So the Lord ain't going to lie on this thing, man. We're saying, first and foremost, it takes us to say it, and then it's going to happen. Point blank in the story. Go on, brother. Somebody got to bring these words to life. And it's the prophets. Go on.
16, the Lord 15. The sun and the moon shall be darkened, and the stars withdraw their shining. The Lord also shall roar out of Zion, and utter his voice from Jerusalem, and the heavens and the earth shall shake, but the Lord will be the hope of his people,
Right, and the Lord will be the hope of his people. Go on.
and the strength of the children of Israel.
And the strength of the children of Israel. So when the Lord compasses the earth with himself and the angels, that's going to be what? Our national security. See, our national security is going to be a threat to the now national security. And that's why the Pentagon and the rest of these different military stations, like NORAD and that, they're all looking into the skies to see what's on the come up, and they should. Because their society is going to be destroyed. We're telling you, this is the face. Whether you look at this video or you don't look at it, but we're telling you, and we're just bringing that to the forefront so that you know this, man. We're not just prophets to our people, we're prophets of the nations. And we're here to tell you what the Lord told us in secret. All right? We're transparent. We ain't got nothing to hide. See, y'all got something to hide. That's why everything that y'all do it in secret. So if you so confident in what y'all are doing, do it out in the open. Oh, I know why, because you're not confident. That's why. And you know that people gonna say something about that. See, we're confident in what we say, man.
Yeah.
All right? And the word confident means with faith. The word confident means with, and the word fidelity, which means faith. So we have faith in what we're doing. Y'all don't have faith in what y'all doing. Y'all hide behind Satan. Y'all hide behind dark walls. Right? Come on, man. Like, you've already lost the battle right there and then. Anything that you do or going to do, you got to do with faith. If you don't have faith in doing what you're going to do, then it's not going to work out properly. You're not going to win. Go on, brother. That's like us coming up, setting up camp, worrying about people. Oh, man, I wonder what's going to happen today.
Someone say something.
Yeah, I wonder. Like, somebody may call 999 on us. You get arrested. Like, if you're going to start the camp with that spirit, that shit might very well happen.
Come.
Or you just may not even speak at all. The work doesn't get done. All right? You think we have it in the back of our minds? What if the society progresses? We don't have that in the back of our minds. We know for certainty, according to Bible prophecy, and according to what the Lord says, that this place is going to be destroyed. Just like all of the previous kingdoms were destroyed. What's the difference with this one? Ain't no difference. Yeah, so yeah, man.
I got something here, Elder,
Oh, yeah,
that to show that it's
uh-huh.
show that's going to be a deadly day, that man, right? Isaiah 13 and 31. I have commanded my sanctified ones. I have also called my mighty ones for mine anger, even them that rejoice in my highness.
Yes.
The noise of the multitude in the mountains, like as the great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together. The Lord of hosts mustereth.
The host of the battle.
The host of the battle.
There you go.
And when you go to that word mustereth, that word mustereth, a roar, uproar, yeah, noise, yeah, tumult,
That's it.
rushing, horrible. You know what I mean? So it's going to be a deadly day, man.
It sure is. And them nations, they getting stirred up in the spirit.
Yep.
A lot of these things are happening. And the Lord is just doing this to them by purpose because, like I said, the Lord's will is going to have to be laid out. That this place is burned to a crisp. So that's what all of this stuff is about. You know what I mean? It ain't nothing else to it, bro. It's just that this place is out, it's done, it's finished. It's nothing. I mean, what more can I say on top of that, man? So now let's go into this.
Romans chapter 8 and 30 says, moreover, whom he did predestinate,
Right.
them he also called, and whom he called, them he also justified, and whom he justified, them he also glorified. What shall we then say to these things? If God is for us, who can be against us?
Oh,
There's no one that can be against us, man. So it doesn't really matter because it's really what the Lord. It's really the Lord It's really who the Lord justifies. Right? The Most High is justifying what we're saying. That's why we haven't, as of yet, even moved it to any corner.
Yeah. If I can say
Go
it,
on.
it's already played out already in the spirit. The battle and the victory with Jehovah Shai. we're just playing out in the flesh. It wasn't really being played out in the spirit. So we're just playing our position. So and two, when I watch some of these documentaries recently, sometimes I just find myself watching them paranormal activity, and I never watched it years ago. But when you watch those kind of documentaries, or strange things been happening, or so-called UFOs, it always goes back to UFOs. What's doing certain things with them, playing out, and you know what they've already been situations where they've interacted with UFOs and they've been UFOs actually attacked them, lazily, giving them little sneak previews of what's about to come. And there was a woman, she was the narrator, and she was saying, it was, we was all so fearful, it was something, and the scripture that says that they're going to be like in the house of the booth, and holy, like birds and flying, and she was actually saying it was like birds, and we didn't know what was going on, we were terrified, and it was like, we didn't know what was going on. It's like, these paranormal activity, everything always goes back to the chariot, which is the left-hand side, angels, demons. And so that's their witchcraft is all falling to pieces, that it's not working for them now. So if they go into this, what do you call this, thing they used to do, what's that chart? Anyway, there's a thing that you sit down and then you do witchcraft when you call upon demons. When they, Ouija boards, right? When they do those things, they used to think, yeah, it's fun. Now, those demons are turning on them. They're calling demons, and it's giving them all kind of problems in their houses.
Well, you know what?
That's what it is.
You know the brother Rumpy, he did a thing on that, man. He's showing girls, man. He was playing the Ouija board. You know,
28 girls in Colombia.
Yeah, 28 girls in Colombia, Israelites, and they got fucked up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So even the spirits ain't playing around out here, man. And you know, too, the spirits ain't working with that bullshit anymore. You know what I mean? So it's all going to pots, man. It's all going to nothing. All of this witchcraft that people are doing, that the higher ups are doing, it's all gonna end in a negative way for them. Just like that's why Hades and hell. Hades basically is a is an example of what Esau's gonna be. When you look at it, but the reason why Hades is at the bottom of the Western world right now, because then the priests, they were supposed to basically lead the whole nation as a whole towards the commandments, but they didn't. So they were morally responsible for upholding those laws and those statutes, but they didn't. So that's why they're the least of the nations right now economically. All right, but when the Lord raises Levi up, man, they're going to be in that position. You know what I mean? All of the tribes are going to be in that position. Yeah. But Levi's going to be, all right. It's going to be all right. So yeah, man. So let's go back to hold on with that, brother. I want you to go back to 2 Ezra 9. And read from verse 7 now.
Ready?
Yeah.
2 Ezra 9, starting from verse 7. And everyone that shall be saved, and shall be able to escape by his works, and by faith whereby ye have believed, shall be preserved from the said perils.
Yeah, so with that, give me James, brother, James 2, verse 14, and verse 26. Yeah, so we got to give up a shot.
2 Ezra 9 and 7 again. And everyone that shall be saved, and shall be able to escape by his works, and by faith whereby ye have believed, shall be preserved from the said perils, and shall see my salvation in my land, and within my borders, for I have sanctified them for me from the beginning.
Absolutely. So we're going to be saved based on our works.
Wow. That sounds promising, doesn't it?
It sounds promising, but it is promising, my brother. You know what I mean? Hey, that's my guy right there, Hawk, man. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, what about it? Throw it at Elder.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, like, that's just the thing. Like, we've done the work. We put the work in. We're going to do the work to the very end. And I'm speaking as if like it's happened already. But the thing of it is, we're doing the work right now. So that we can get to that point where we can receive that rest. As it is written that they remain in the rest of the sons of God, right? That's right. So this is what we're doing right now to lead up to that point. Because you don't get rest unless you work. You have to work first.
Don't work, you don't eat.
Exactly. All right. So Yeah, read that again, Baba Bashar. Read that again, and then you get me James 2, brother.
2 Ezra 9 and 7 again.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone that shall be saved, and shall be able to escape by his works, and by faith whereby ye have believed, shall be preserved from the said perils, and shall see my salvation in my land, and within my borders,
Yeah.
for I have sanctified them for me from the beginning.
Right, for I have sanctified them for me from the beginning. And this takes work what we do. Like, it may look easy while you're sitting on your ass watching us inside your house, man. But this is
In a warm room,
in a
central
warm room
heating.
with central heating in it. I mean, it seems very easy, but when you actually come out here, man, it's cold. Like, sometimes your knees be hurting, your leg be hurting you. Or it can be so cold at times. I remember it was so cold at times, man. This is when we was in King's Cross. I remember, man, whenever the camp was done, I couldn't feel my knees. I couldn't feel my legs. I was walking like I was old before my time. Like, that's how serious this thing is, man. Like, when you experience this thing for real, it's you know what I mean? Like, it's not easy to do, man. So this is work, but we like to do it, even though it hurts us sometimes. We love to do it because this is what we were made to do.
Right. This is the front lines, man.
Yeah.
Front lines of the battlefield. This is where the action's at.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, hit me with the James joint, brother.
Like I was saying, when I ain't got nothing to carry, just to add to your point, when I ain't got nothing to carry, I feel like something's missing.
Yeah, something ain't right. Yeah,
Like, give me that pain what I'm used to. It's like, not that we're saying I'm magic, but it's like the training, man. We're up for the training. We're up for the trenches, you know, for the battle, if you like. Yeah.
Like the saying goes, if it ain't, like the old saying goes, if it ain't rough, it ain't right.
James chapter 2 and 13 says, "For he shall have judgment without mercy that have showed no mercy, and mercy rejoiceth against judgment."
Yeah, go on, bro.
What doth it profit, my brethren, though a man say he
Yes,
have...
right.
Yeah, so this is the people, if I can just say.
Yeah.
These people are, they had shown us no mercy. They've shown us no mercy on all levels. So we feel that's actually you. When you've been treated a certain way, it empowers you, man. When you're dishing out the judgment, you know, you're dishing out your judgment. You don't mind serving it up cold, because you've been eating cold breakfast all your life. So why can't we're gonna dish it up cold, man? And we don't mind.
But man, just say something on the Bible and shot. When it comes to revenge, the saying goes, revenge is a dish that's best served cold, but the Most High likes to serve it frozen.
To someone that's very hungry, so you can't eat it until it fucking melts. Yeah, that's beautiful, right? Yeah, we're gonna be
You
ready.
gotta waste
we're
some
gonna
time
be calm. So, oh yeah, if I could just add now, because the point has come to me where Ari, High Priest Marshall, and I was watching these little clips, and there's others coming up now because what happened with Ari. You know, but the story was on Ari, you know, the family saying that he might not be officially, you know, we just let the spirit play
But
with it.
can I say something to you, brother? But the news must have gotten back to him already
What's that?
about Arya, High Priest Arya.
Yeah, what?
Because is it still hidden?
I'm going to let the elder discuss that. The
Right.
elder apostle, Dapar, and all the elders.
Okay.
Come to the final conclusion on that, you know. But I see what you're saying. But Marshall would say we're experiencing the negative. First, we're experiencing the negative. So that's what we're doing now. We're experiencing the negative.
You mean Yaakov, because Yaakov said that.
The video I put up, I think, was Yahweh.
It was Yaakov, because Yaakov said, what did he say? He said, in order for us to appreciate the kingdom, we got to experience the negative.
The negative, yeah.
And
He was sitting there in gold.
He was sitting there, yeah.
That's, man, in the gold, he looked raw, man.
He had the white bit on his face, right?
Yeah, I can remember.
That's
yeah,
like-
I was just like, why he look raw, man. But so yeah, for us to really understand the positive, we have to experience the negative. So we experience being all the above, this suffering and all that. So when we're ruling, we're going to understand mercy with certain things, but we're going to dish up a lot of cold deserts to the wicked. We deserve it. We ain't going to feel no way doing it, but we've been there and we've experienced the negative.
Yeah. And it was them that wanted us to experience it. So we have, like the scripture says, how does it go? It is a righteous thing to recompense unto those tribulation unto those that are troubled. So they're gonna get it, man. They're gonna get theirs. They're going, brother. Hit me with that same verse.
The one I just read again. I'll read it again. So James chapter 2 and 30 says, "For he shall have judgment without mercy that have showed no mercy."
So I can't even bend my leg now. See that? This is work, man. Go on, brother.
And mercy rejoiceth against judgment.
Go on.
And what doth it profit, my
Yeah,
brethren,
this is the point originally. Yeah, go on.
though a man say he have faith and have not works, can faith save him?
Right. Yeah, so going back to what we was reading in what is it, the Apocrypha, where it says many of them that shall be delivered because of their works, right?
Yep.
Read that again.
2 Ezra 9 and 7 again. And everyone that shall be saved and shall be able to escape by his works, and by faith whereby ye have believed, shall be preserved from the said perils, and shall see my salvation in my land, and within my borders, for I have sanctified them for me from the beginning.
Absolutely. So this goes in connection with James chapter 2. So we're gonna read this again. That's how we're gonna be saved. We're gonna be saved based on our works that we're doing right now. Go on, brother. And then also get me Ephesians chapter 2 verse 9 as well. I wanna build on that. You got some guys that's gonna talk nonsense and say, "Oh, nah, said that don't mean that," because Ephesians 2 and 9 says that it's not a works. So we don't cut that out.
James chapter 2 and 14. What doth it profit, my brethren, though a man say he hath faith and have no works? Can faith save him? If a brother or sister be naked and destitute or daily food, carry on, and one of you say unto them, Depart in peace, be ye warmed and filled, notwithstanding he give them not those things that which ye are needful to the body.
Yeah, that don't make any sense.
What doth it profit?
Yeah, like how can you say to someone, be nice and warm, but everything you got extra coats and other belongings you can give to that person, but you don't give it to them. You say be nice and cold, be nice and warm. Come on, man. Go on, bro.
Yeah. So if faith, if it hath not works, is dead, being alone.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you say you have faith, but you're not putting the works towards it, then you can't say you have faith. What substantiates the faith is the work, the operation you put behind it. Like what we're doing right now, like out in the cold weather, dealing with the elements. Sometimes you gotta deal with these people out here. You gotta deal with some in the vision, some nigga cooking pork and hot dogs. You gotta smell that shit, bro. That's all a part of it. So that's what's gonna be what all of this we're going through is gonna justify us if we endure to the end, as it is written. He that endured to the end, same shall be saved. Go on.
Yet a man may say, Thou hast faith and have works. Show me thy faith without thy works, and I will show them thee my faith by my works. Thou believest that thou is one God, thou doest well. The devil also believe and tremble. But wilt thou know how vain, O vain man, that faith without works is dead? Was not Abraham our father justified by works when he had offered Isaac his son upon the altar? See if thou have faith.
That's a heavy thing too, man. I mean, how many men are going to be willing to actually offer their son on the altar and kill their son? Let's be realistic. Not enough. You know what I mean? But a majority of the time, that's not going to happen. So for him to actually do that, he already solidified that he is a man after the Most High's will, right there with him. But it was what? By his works. To show and prove that. Go on.
See that how have faith though with his works, and by works was faith made perfect. And the scripture was fulfilled, which saith Abraham believed God, and it was imputed unto him.
Which said now that Abraham believed in God. So in order for you to believe in God, because you got people that will say, well, I believe in God, right? but they don't put action towards solidifying that fact. They don't substantiate that by their actions.
Yeah.
A person can, give you lip service, but they don't they're not about it.
Do not only be hearers, but be
But
doers.
be doers of the word. Exactly.
Yeah, like those people that do the parachutes. Right, parachute has to be first tested before you know it works.
Exactly.
So the example is that okay, I go out every week on a Saturday, right? So you know he has. You understand? You can see by his works. You know he has. But someone who's just talking, they haven't been, I can do that, but you haven't been tested. So there's nothing to show. Who would believe you? Who would put their faith in someone? Or back to the analogy of the parachute that hasn't been tested. If it hasn't been tested, you ain't gonna be sure. Someone said I've been doing this every year and this is right. You're gonna put your trust in the one that's been doing it. The parachute that it's been tested.
That's it.
So that's how your whole time test. We go through these tests. We're not like those people that locked themselves up in the house when Michael Jackson when he was someone that keeps themselves locked as a hermit.
A recluse.
You can't be a recluse or a hermit and be a man of the line at the same time. Because we're out here, we're being tested through all the seasons, right?
Oh, that's what the Paul said, my brother. He said this is in season analysis.
And that season. So all the flus that people may get, which we're immune to a lot of those things, because when people are isolation and they never had a flu, as soon as they get out into the open air, they get cold, they get everything in one.
Because the immune system is weak.
So the most I throws us to the deep end, so we get everything at once. So we become immune to a lot of the things.
Yeah.
That's the training, man. I'm talking in the spirit, but sometimes in the flesh too. But mainly in the spirit, we're immune to a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Nonsense when people throw shit at us.
Because we put ourselves through the ringer for so many years, and now we're conditioned, now we're structured to do the work. So now it don't even seem like work. It just seems like, okay, this is the thing to do. We're going through the motions here. Now we do this work obviously because we fear the Lord, but it's really, to be honest with you, we do it through the motions too. It's like we're on the track to do the work.
Yeah. And there is work. There's a word you don't hear now. Work satisfaction. People that done it. Let's say you've done plastering and you've done a good job, and you look back. I've done any form of work, labouring or whatever. You look back, you say, look at that, it turned out all right. I did that. You get work satisfaction when you look back and you see what you've done.
Yeah.
So the Yahushua even understands that in this flesh, he gives us payment's going to come, in the chariot of Barakazal, we make it. But there is work satisfaction now too.
I've got a precept to back up, brother. Can I get the elder? Hebrews 6 verse 9. But beloved, we are persuaded better things of you, the things that accompany salvation, though we thus speak. For Yahweh is not righteous to forget your work and labor of love.
And that's a beautiful scripture right there in there.
Read that again.
You break it down.
Hebrews 6 verse 10. For Yahweh Basham Yashai is not unrighteous
That's it.
to forget your work and labor of love.
Because you missed the word you said not righteous.
Okay.
But that's it, man. That's the point. You got more? Is there more?
Yeah, I got more here. I start again. Hebrews 6 verse 10. For Yahweh is not unrighteous to forget your work and labor of love, which ye have shewed towards his name, in that ye have ministered to the saints.
Right, and the word minister is another way of saying a servant. So we're servants we're servants unto the Lord. And really we owe the Lord because he died for us.
Oh,
He died
big
for our
time,
sins.
yeah.
So it's in our part to fulfill, and that is to come out here to labor.
Yeah.
And how do you labor doing the work of the Lord? By doing what we're doing, coming out in the highways and the hedges. That's why I want the highways. Like Paul said, be instant in season and out of season. The word instant in the Greek is to mean to be ready. Be ready to teach. So that's why we out here. So you got these people in the Christian churches and all that. They claim to believe in God, but they inside of a church all day. That's not.
Yeah.
Because you just mentioned the word labor. What we're doing, this is labor.
Labor. This is the real job.
This is
Yeah,
the
real job.
Like
Yeah.
I said, right? Like you could be out here standing out here all day in the cold, especially. And once you get done doing the teaching, you can't even walk right because you can't even feel your knees. It's cold.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the work, and then we got to deal with people's BS sometimes. Half of the times, we got to deal with all kind of elements. So it's the work. This is work.
Present your bodies as a
Living sacrifice. And you know what? You could die for this too. I mean, there's certain brothers that I've seen doing what we're doing that could have got stabbed, shot, all of that stuff, man.
Yeah, you
Doing what
guys
we're
feel
doing.
like guns in
Yeah,
camp.
yeah. Like this is serious. Brothers have got arrested for this thing, man. Like we take this very seriously. You know what I mean? Like this ain't no get together gathering every weekend boys club thing. This is very serious. Like we're actually operating like the ancient apostles operated. You got the Messiah, and you had the 12 disciples and the apostles, and they was out there, man, prophesying and preaching to the people. And there was a lot going on, man. There's a lot of problems going on. You know what I mean? So, hey, man, it's the same thing that we're doing. This is basically Acts part 2. The book of Acts part 2. This is.
Yeah, and if I could say that verse was read, right? Romans what?
Hebrews
Hebrews chapter
6 verse 10.
verse 10. Yeah. You could read that because I remember you said at the start of it. You said that Yehoshua going to get his glory. Yeah, and we get our glory after Yehoshua gets
You're
his
right,
glory.
you're right,
It's
yeah.
about the glory of Yehoshua.
Yes.
First and foremost, but when he gets his glory, we get our glory. But now, when you said the point you said about some people could have been shot. Now, spiritually, in the spirit, if it wasn't for the angels, they may have well have been shot. I was just thinking, in the spirit, they may well have been shot. So, in the spirit, up in the heavens, that person, that was like that was a living sacrifice with Isaac as well. Yeah, that was counted as almost as because he was willing to do it. The faith was in him to do it. It was as if he did it. So we're out here dying over time. We don't know, but it's a bit deep now. But what I'm saying is what I'm trying to say is that things that we don't know, we forget a lot. The whole way I was trying, don't forget. Man forget. I forget about the troubles that he may have had to get here, whatever. We didn't see them. All sorts of struggles that brothers are going through. We didn't see them, or we may see them, or we may know them, but we forget. And we forget of something that we've been through. It's all written up here in the heavens.
Right.
What we've been doing. We the whole way home trying to do this work.
You know it too. That's why the scriptures also say that even our lives is as a telltale. Meaning our lives right now, everything that we've done in the works of the Lord is all being written. We're gonna, and also our children's children, they're gonna read about the works that we've done. Just like how we read about the Apostle Paul. How you think these books came out?
Nice, my brother.
Because they obviously had scribes and everything, right? And people wrote about their lives. So obviously in the spiritual sense, our lives are being written, and the Lord is gonna dispel to us what we did. Like you said, the Most High don't forget. The Most High requires that which is past, according to the book of Ecclesiastes 3, and I believe that's in 16. So everything that we've done to this point is being written. And that's how we're going to be justified, man. So yes, indeed, we are going to be justified in being delivered because of our works. Let's pull that out one more time, my brother. Give me our second Ezra chapter, and I think he was reading in verse 7. Yep. And then go back and hit me in James chapter 2.
Also hold in Ephesians 2.
Okay, hit me with that.
Right, so first of all, back in
Oh yeah, I want you to hit that. Yeah, come. I forgot about that.
Alright, 2 Ezra 9 from verse 7 again. And everyone that shall be saved, which shall be able to escape by his works, and by faith whereby ye have believed,
Yeah.
shall be preserved from the said perils. I shall see my salvation in my land, and within my borders, for I have sanctified them for me from the beginning.
Exactly, man. So that's how we're going to be delivered. And what are we going to be delivered from? Because you got the Christians, they like to say, well, I've been saved, I've been delivered, but from what? Because the word deliver, this word means something, right? To be saved from something, which means to be preserved. So you're preserved from what? You're going to be preserved from danger. So we know in this world, all hell's going to break loose. We know that society's going to collapse. We know that people are going to be warring against one another. There's going to be a nuclear destruction, which will destroy this place. So guess what? By our works, what we're doing right now is going to make up for our tomorrow. We're going to be justified and delivered when the Messiah makes a second return, so that we don't face the second death, which is the second death, the nuclear destruction. All right.
The wrath of the Lamb.
What's that?
And the wrath of the Lamb.
And the wrath of the Lamb. And that's something that you don't want. You don't want to be destroyed when the Messiah comes. Because Yahushua, who the world called Jesus Christ, he's coming to do just that too, to bring destruction and judgment. Okay? He played as the Lamb, he did his thing. Now he's coming as the conquering line of the tribe of Judah. All right? So that's why this is why we do what we do, because we know what kind of judgments are coming thereafter. You know, yes, so go and hit me with James, brother.
You want 13 again? James chapter 2 or,
Yeah.
or carry on? Or go back up to 13?
No, hit me with James chapter 2 and 24, the verse 20,
Yeah.
verse 37.
See then how that by works a man is justified and not by faith only.
Right, and not by faith only. So you have to have the two together. You have to have the faith and the works. And that's what substantiates your faith. Not when a man just say, oh, well, I believe, and then there's nothing behind it. That's like you saying you love your woman, but you get your woman down, man. You know what I'm saying? You don't really show that. So you have to show and be about it. So let's go and pick the Ephesians 2, John, bro.
Right, Ephesians 2, starting about verse 8. It says, for by grace ye are saved through faith, and that not of yourselves, it is the gift of God,
Right.
not of works, lest any man should boast.
Right, so it sounds like it's contradicting itself. Not of works. What he meant to say, and he actually said it in the first couple of sentences. Read it again. This is what he meant by not of works. Go on.
Ephesians 2 and verse 8 again. For by grace ye are saved through faith,
Right?
and that not of yourselves,
Right.
it is the gift of God.
Right? It is the gift of God. So what is the gift of God in this case? Now we know that the Lord gave us faith, which is a gift from him. But guess what? We also give this with. I want you brothers to literally guess that. What drives us to do the work?
Fear.
The Holy Spirit.
Holy Spirit, man.
All right? And you could, and I mean, yeah, you're right, but the Holy Spirit does that. The Holy Spirit what fears the Lord. Remember, the Holy Spirit is the spirit that guides you to all
Oops.
things. So, like, that's Satan right there. It's like it, right? The Holy Spirit guides you to all things. In other words, all that is in the scriptures. And a part of the scriptures is the fear of the Lord. So that's what's going to justify us. All right? And that's why, like I said earlier before, we do this work because we're actually in a trance. We're actually moved by the Holy Spirit to do everything that we're doing. That's why we're able to set up the Pesachs. We're able to keep certain high holy days. We're able to keep the Sabbath if needs be, right? And all of these different things. Because it's the Holy Spirit that's bringing us to justification. So that's what he meant by it's not of works. In other words, it's not of your will. That's what Paul meant in Ephesians 2 and 9. That don't necessarily mean, oh, it ain't of works. So that means I can just, quit everything, stop what I'm doing, and I don't have to do the work to be saved. That's what some simpletons would actually convey, to justify themselves for falling out. All right? But that's not what it's talking about. It's talking about those that were given the gift of faith and that which is the Holy Spirit to be, justified by their works to be delivered. Go on.
Verse 8, for by grace ye are saved through faith, and that not of yourselves, it is the gift of God, not of works, lest any man should boast.
Right, none of your own will. Go on.
For we are his workmanship, created in Hamashiach Yahushai,
Yeah.
unto good works, which the Most High God hath before
Wow.
ordained.
Right. Ooh, see, there you go. Of good works which before have been ordained. So the Lord ordained us to do the work. So that's what he meant by it's not of works, meaning it's not by our will. All right, like it reads in the scriptures that man's goings are
Oh, you just Elder, you just took it out of my mind.
That's the spirit. That's the spirit.
Just a second.
It ain't me, brother. It's the spirit. You know what I mean?
Spirit, brother.
Yeah, come. So that's what it's talking about. That's all it's talking about. All right. It don't mean that Nicodemus can just fall back because he left and he can make an excuse and say, "See, I don't have to do the work anymore." No, you do have to do the work. You just read it, scripture, that the work is required to be justified. All right. But the Lord is going to ordain one to do the work. Go on, bro. To be justified.
Yeah, so it says, verse 10, for we are his workmanship, created in Hamashiach Yahushai, unto good works,
Unto good works,
which the Most High hath before ordained,
which have the Most High before ordained,
that we should walk in them.
that we should walk in them. So it's been preordained. It's
That's
been
it.
of his works that we are justified. Ignore that, demon, man. So we get somewhere. All the time we get somewhere in the scriptures, the demons always gotta come out. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's what it's talking about. So now let's go back and read. Is there any more on that?
I think that's the point. Yeah, it goes into circumcision after that.
Yeah, that's the point. That's all we do. It's to go and people with what is it, 2 Ezra 7 and 8. So you gotta do the work, man. If the Lord gave you the spirit, which is a gift,
That's it.
to do the work,
Which
do
is
the
also a
work.
gift from the Lord, you know?
Yes.
Everything's a gift.
Everything's a gift. All right, man. So
And that's why it's all about pleasing the Lord, because the scripture says, you know, kiss the Son. Kiss the Son. It's about just bowing to the Lord, serving the Lord to the best of our ability, you know? Because He's the one that grants us a gift. You know what I mean?
Second Ezra 9 and 7 again. And everyone that shall be saved shall be able to escape by his works, and by faith whereby ye have believed, shall be preserved from the said perils, and shall see my salvation in my land, and within my borders, for I have sanctified them for me from the beginning.
Oh!
Good. Exactly. Going back
You see?
to just read. Because how did we become sanctified? We just read it. Because we were what? Preordained by the gift of faith to do the good works. So now let's get Matthew 7 and 21 and verse 23. Take one, brother, you can pull that out for me. That Matthew 7 and 21.
And you know, Elder, to keep it real, you know, when it comes to the RFID chip, it's already preordained who's going to take it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah? And that's a gift. That's a gift.
Yeah.
The Lord knows. You know what I mean? That's why it's not of our works, it's not to do with us. Right? It's a gift from the Lord. Right? Preordained. That, yeah, you're not going to take it, you're going to take it. You're 2/3. You know what I mean? You're Esau. After 1,000 years, you're gone. You know what I mean? So it's a gift. It's a gift. Everything is a gift.
Yeah, so yeah, give me Matthew 7 and 21 and verse 23.
From 21 says, not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter unto the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven.
Yes, that's what it's all about. Again, doing the work. The will of the Father is for us to come out here and teach. We gotta do and preach the scriptures the correct way. Not coming up with these way left, wacky, tacky,
Hell doctrine.
doctrines out there, man. Talking about how the market, you know what is a sin. Like where you get that at, man? Who taught that the old one was? No one taught that. You know what I mean? So, and then you got these other guys, they'll teach, you know what I mean, other various breakdowns that don't even make any damn sense, man. All right? Go on, bro.
22, many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name, and in thy name have cast out devils, and in thy name done many powerful works,
Right? And in thy name done many powerful works. Go on.
and then will I profess unto them, I never knew you, depart from me, ye that work iniquity.
Yeah, because they wasn't doing it right. It's like Moses. Moses didn't hearken unto the Most High over one thing. He picked it and he didn't make it. He didn't make it into the promised land. So there's a particular way the Lord wants you to do His will. And that's the way you gotta do it. If you don't do it in that way, then you ain't gonna make it. All right, and especially for those that know better, that know the will of the Father, but choose not to do it. So what a heart, man. You know what I mean? So, you know, that's why we gotta do what we gotta do, because we know too much now. We know too much. So we gotta keep moving forward. There's no breaks, there's no five-month hiatuses, 8-month hiatuses, a month hiatus, fuck all of that. We gotta be persistent and temperance and continuous in this thing. Go on, though.
Just to add to your point, though, if I can paraphrase it, to whom much is given, much is required.
Simply put, I don't have to add anything more to that. Let's read on, brother.
4 of Matthew 7. Wherefore whosoever heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them, I will liken unto him unto a wise man which built his house upon a rock.
Right.
And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon the house, and it fell not.
Right. And the rain and all of that, which represents the chaos which is going to come down here, right? And because we've done the Lord's will, guess what? We're going to be steady. We're going to be stable because we did the Lord's work. His spirit is going to be with us. And guess what? We're going to hold daily to the word, which will be our wisdom and our stability of our time and our strength of salvation. That's what's going to, keep us in order in that time. But those that have not did the will of the Father, they're going to be perplexed, confused, and just in a state of fear because their doctrine wasn't straight from the get-go. They wasn't hearkening. So now they have to suffer the consequences because they didn't listen. You know what I mean? As Judah was saying, man, the kingdom of Judah was saying, hey, you don't listen, you feel. You know what I mean? So you gotta listen, man. We're telling you, look, man, a lot of you guys in Pacific camps, y'all gotta repent and stop with these stupid breakdowns. Because it's actually getting silly. You know that the market, listen, Nate, you know that the market of beast is not sin. All right, that's all bogus. And as well as the thing of Bishop Nathaniel used to be taught by our Apostle Mark. He is Lord, the old one listening, so he knows damn well that the mark of the beast isn't sin. He knows this. Okay? He's just talking like that because he's been compromised. And if he's still compromised by the time when they do initiate the mark of the beast, guess what? He's going to be there to push him, just like the rest of these 501c charter churches. Okay?
And even the young brothers, where I'm a young brother, right? And he's my elder. Now, if he came out and said, you know what, all that I was just fucking about, I mean, like, if he came out and just confessed, said, you know what, I put on my hands, man. To me, it would look like he would grow a couple of inches. That is, you know, it's like, that's a man does things like that. Yeah, I come clean with you guys, man. Yeah, you know, the MOTB is the mark of the beast, and it is what it is. No, the elders and the apostles are of the I'd say respect you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure that men with integrity will recognize rule. Men would respect that, man.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. And you would respect that because he came off his high horse with all of that BS he was doing to settle the storm. You know what I mean? And let it be known that look, I lied. I was full of SHIT, and I didn't really mean to do all of that. Like, man, respect for that, man. But we'll have to wait and see because Nate's gonna have to get his ass spiritually kicked to see what he's doing wrong, man. Yeah. So now we're gonna read. Can brother, give you second interest 9 and 8. Sure. No. Give me Psalms 85 and 9. And then we're gonna move to 8.
Psalms chapter 85 verse 9 says, surely his salvation is nigh to them that fear him, that glory may dwell in our land.
And hopefully those of you that are watching, man, hopefully this is edifying to you. You know, because I've just been thinking about it, man. Maybe I haven't really been doing enough edification in the way that I would like to do. You know what I mean? So that's just my spirit. I like to do things, I like to do things unto perfection, to the best of my abilities. I hope that this is edifying. No. You know what I mean? And even unto those that are watching as well. We're going, brother.
Shall we begin? Psalms 85 and verse 9 again. Surely his salvation is nigh to them that fear him, that glory may dwelleth in our land.
Right. Which the Lord is nigh unto them that fear him, right? That we may dwell in the land. How are we going to dwell in the land? Meaning the Lord is going to have to deliver us from where we scattered abroad to be sent back home. Now, how are we going to be sent back home? Now, we know that them so-called JOOs over there in Israel that's perpetrating the fraud and putting on our face, pretending as though to the world that they're us, when in fact they're just nothing more than Edomites. With them small hats and the big wig bearers, right? They're going to get wiped off the face of the map. They're going to be destroyed. They're going to be nuclearized. And then that land is going to be restored as it once was, and much more better. We get into that. And then in that, there's not going to be no war among the nations anymore. Because the holies of the holies, the true, Jerusalem, the new Jerusalem that is, will be restored in that land. Set it up in all righteousness. So that's what's going to happen. But all of that, though, is going to happen because we've done the work. All of those good things that we've done is going to lead up to that right there. So yes, we are justified in our works. So don't let nobody tell you that in this case, oh, you don't have to do the work, because it's not, this Paul said it's not of works. And he actually elaborated on what he meant by it. Alright, so that's all I'm going to say with that. So now, somebody get 2 Ezra 9 and 8, brother. And, But this is going to be the final precept right here. We may just close out on this one here. Because we brought the point out, so we just let it be done. And again, get me Matthew 24, verse 13.
Second Ezra 9 right, Second Ezra 9 and verse 8 again says, verse 7, it's like it, and everyone that shall be saved, that shall be able to escape by his works, and by faith whereby ye have believed, shall be preserved from the said perils, and shall see my salvation in my land, and within my borders, for I have sanctified them for me from the beginning.
Right, so now that we got that, let's go and read this Matthew 24, verse 13. Sure. And then we're going to close this one out. I mean, we started quite late than usual. His brothers, was going through diversions and many different difficulties. So it's a lot going on our part for that.
Yeah, so this is Matthew 24 and verses 13. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved.
That's it. That's all we need. He that endure to the end, same shall be saved. There's no such thing as, well, I've done 25 years, or I've done 10 years, and I know the apostles, and I know such and such. You doing the work for a short period of time, and you know such and such, don't back you into the kingdom. It's your works, it's going to back you into the kingdom. All right? As it is written that we all supposed to fear the Lord and seek out our own salvation with fear and trembling. So you're doing this for yourself. Yeah, we're a conglomeration of a holy brotherhood, but each and every man is working out their own salvation. So what I'm doing, let's just say, for example, this brother left, right? He wound up doing this thing and went into the world. Just using him as an example. God forbid, right? And he said he know me, and he's made this thing for a amount of years. Is the Lord going to remember those works that he did?
No.
Or is the Lord going to look at what he's currently been doing and return to the end? Right? So we already know the answer to that question. So that's why you have to be consistent. It's like me. I could have did what? 8,000 videos, or let's just say 20,000 videos in the span of my time in this street. But I haven't did no other videos. Guess what? All of that stuff is not going to remember. That don't matter. What am I doing now? All right, so you got to endure to the end of this thing. Go on, brother.
Can I bring up one more piece of
Yeah.
Sure?
Yeah.
What's the sum up the point? Luke 9 and 62.
Yes, that's my favorite scripture too.
And Yahushua said unto him, no man having put his hand to the plow and looking back is fit for the kingdom of
And
the
you know
Most
what
High
you can
God.
also get? You can also get Hebrews 10 and 34 on top of that as well. Yeah, no man having put his hand to the plow looking back. What is a plow? Plow is a particular thing that you use
To drive the ground.
to drive the ground. That's what that is. So that's what we're doing right now. We're putting in that work. It's just another way of saying laboring and doing the Lord's work. So if you leave the plow, let's just say you left 10 years ago, or you left a month ago, or 2 months ago, 3 months ago, you ain't fit for the kingdom. Now, can there be a prodigal son in that case? Yeah, it's a possibility. Hey, you may have a guy, he may have not done the work for like a month, or 2, 3 months, right? But the Lord bring him back into the spirit. That can happen, but I wouldn't want to swim in the waters.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So that's tempting the Lord. Thou shalt not tempt the Lord. Go on, brother.
You want Hebrews 10:34?
Yeah, 34. I think it's 37. You can start with 34.
Right, so it says, for ye had compassion of me in my bonds, and took joyfully the spoiling of your goods, knowing in yourselves that ye have in heaven a better and enduring substance. Cast not away therefore your confidence, which hath great recompense of reward.
Right, meaning it's fake. Don't cast it off. Go on.
For ye have need of patience, that after ye have done the will of God, you might receive the promise.
Right, that you might receive the promise after you've done the will of God. And the reason why he said might, because it's going to be some of the men that he was saying that may fall back. Go on.
For yet a little while, and he that cometh will come, and will not tarry. Now the just shall live by faith.
Right.
But if any man draw back,
But if any man draw back, go on,
my soul shall have no pleasure in him.
my soul will have no pleasure in him. So So I mean, like I said, you could have did so many works. You could have did a lot of edification. You could have you know, cast out demons and devils, what have you. You did all of those wonderful things, man. And guess what? You fell back into the world. So now you're going to be destroyed because you didn't do what was required. You didn't fulfill the will of the Lord the correct way, which is to endure to the end. So that's how you got to do it. Go on, brother. I think there's some more.
Yeah, one more verse. It says, "But we are not of them who draw back unto
Exactly.
perdition."
That's why Paul said it himself. He said, "For I am fully persuaded," right? I have to exaggerate.
Yep.
"For I am fully persuaded that neither height nor depth can come in between me and the love of the Mashiach Yahushua." That's what he said. So you got to be fully persuaded. You have to be rooted and grounded up in you. Okay? And once you're fully persuaded, nothing can take you down. Like there's been countless of times when brothers have encountered spirits, demons, you know, evil thoughts, you name it, man. Like seriously, like, you know, the brother ain't here right now, but you know, he could talk about that if he wants to. Right? But brothers are going to do some real spooky shit. Like real situations brothers are going through, man. But guess what? They still find themselves doing this work because they see the importance of it. And that's what grounds them, because they count on the cost. They're examining themselves. That what's important is this work. All of this bullshit that's out in this world, this ain't nothing. Alright? You can't fall into the world and expect this world to literally give you something. This world ain't got nothing to give itself.
Temporal.
It's all temporal. Alright? Like the scripture says, speaking about what you said, the scripture says, for the things that we see now are temporal. But the kingdom, the things that we don't see is eternal. So I wanna graduate to that eternal way of life, man. So I know, man, I gotta put this work in. I gotta suffer this cold. I gotta suffer all of the things that I have to suffer to get into the kingdom. Because guess what? It's gonna be worthwhile when I get into the kingdom. Go on, brother.
Last verse it says, "But we are not of them who draw back unto perdition, but of them that believe to the saving of the soul."
Exactly. And that's what we believe. We believe to the saving of the souls. We believe that we're gonna save our souls and as well as others. Alright, so when you draw back, what are you really saying? I don't believe in saving myself, so how in the hell should I save somebody else? So when a nigga fall out, he's really a selfish SOB. It's really what he is. Does he have the knowledge? But I mean, really, you can't really blame him because it was the will of the Lord as well. So, you know, that's just, you know, that, like, we can't, like, will ourselves to be the elect. You can't will yourself to be the elect. It's up to the Lord. That's why you gotta pray consistency. Constantly you gotta pray that the Holy Spirit be not taken from you. Because the Holy Spirit is the driver to do this work in the first place. Yeah, so that's pretty much it, man. We're gonna call off and leave. It's getting dark out here, and as well as it's getting too damn cold as well, man. You know what I mean? Which I don't mind it, but obviously for the sake of the brothers too. You know what I mean? Because I did take a cold shower, so I don't really feel it. It's just that my hands is cold. That's it. But yeah, with that, I want to give all of the praise and the glory to the Most High and Son.
Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Bahakadash.
Shalom.
Shalom.
That's all it is.